If you ever thought that the Empire would strike back, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks. Welcome back to another episode of Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook as we close the week out here on Friday, April 4th. And what a week it's been. More blood here in the pre-market, more stuff to go over. We're going to cover it all right now. Mark Petrino coming up too. Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook for Friday starts right now. Good morning and welcome back, folks. It's great to see a whole bunch of returning faces. I hope you had a wonderful Thursday evening and you're ready for Friday here today because, wow, more red arrows coming to us right now. Let's go ahead and say good morning to everybody. Kayla, good morning. Welcome back. Ivan, are you winning, son? Laughing face emoji. Good morning. No, not yet, Ivan. We're certainly not, but good morning. Welcome back. Crimp Biscuit. Welcome back. Reaching Financial Freedom. Welcome back. Good morning. This is like the Black Friday for stocks. Markets don't bottom on a Friday. I'd be careful. Not sure if we're at a buy spot just yet. Sun-kissed Yogi. Good morning. Welcome back. Jim, good to have you again. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. Diamond Hotline checking in. Let's go. Travis checking in. Pete checking in. Producers locked and ready to go. Tyler wants to know if anyone's trading the VIX. That's a good question because the VIX printed a 45 handle here today. We are approaching that capitulation, it feels like, at least on a VIX measurement there. Harley, good morning. Great to see you again. Bernhard, welcome back. Ralph, welcome back. Quantum, welcome back. Chuck, welcome back. Richard, the judge, checking in. Good morning, my man. Yaz, welcome back. Dermog, welcome back. Coco, it's great to see you. Hermanta, great to see you. Day Trader, great to see you. Buffalo by Bicycle, welcome back. Peter, welcome back. Artisan Custom Homes checking in. Big Bees, what's going on? Crystal and Suzanne, welcome back. Let's go ahead and dive right into the market, figure out where we are. Good morning, 3D. Good morning, Bobby. Welcome back. Here is the chart of the SPY, and we did it. We came all the way in and hit that 521. So market now on a 15% pullback from the all-time highs, and we are speeding up and racing towards bear territory. Really quickly here, 490.49 is the value that I have for a 20% pullback from the all-time highs for the S&P 500. That would represent bear territory. We currently hit the 15% pullback level. We peaked below it here in the pre-market. We're trying to get back above it, but I do not trust strength, at least not yet here today, in any regard. Also, it's worth noting we do have the 500-day moving average down here at about 508.5. So I would expect this to be the next spot if we continue to show some weakness here. I will say, although it's a Friday, it does feel like the crash tape. It does feel like the capitulation that, well, at least I've been waiting for on the way back down. Now, is this the actual bottom? That's the $64,000 question. The old adage of the market not bottoming on a Friday, something to think about. So maybe we see some more red arrows here on Monday. But these are some of the levels to take a look at. We did hit that 15% level. If we bounce from this, I actually wouldn't be terribly surprised. I mean, if it was a huge bounce, that would be something. But a little bit of a reflexive bounce here or a temporary reflexive bounce midday wouldn't surprise me at all. Oversold readings here, pretty incredible. Williams percent hour and RSI telling us that we are in oversold territory here on the SPY. Let's do a quick check on the Qs as well because they are not escaping the pain. Here we go. Qs down 436.57. Your 20% pullback level down there in a 432 handle. We are only 4 points away. We're also going to come into that 500-day moving average there. Huge volume yesterday. We got Powell talking today at 11:25. We'll see what he has to say. He's very, very good at being calm. I would expect more of the same here today, but you can believe that people are going to be hanging on what he says. Fed COE watch tool, CBOE watch tool has interest rates at about a coin flip right now for the May meeting. So clearly the move to try and sink this all to lower interest rates, it looks like, at least per the CBOE watch tool, that is working so far. Really, the question is, how much pain can everybody take? That answer varies across the board. Okay, who did I miss here? Ryan, JJ, Dal, Hellcat, Joe, oh God, Market Sniper, Ed, awesome. Welcome and good morning. Let's go ahead and take a look at one of the pieces of news here. Oops, got to share the right thing here. Trump tariffs prompt China to vow countermeasures. Experts see retaliation likely. And we actually did get that here this morning. President Trump rocked global markets on Wednesday with a tougher than anticipated tariff announcement as part of a plan to reset U.S. trade policy that includes a 34% tariff on imports from China. And that's what we got here today. So the leg down that we took effect, if I go back to the chart here, we take a look inside. We were actually just kind of drifting along, but then this leg down here, that was by the announcement that China is slapping a 34% tariff on U.S. imports. So that's what's going on there. Let me go back to the story here. Just hours after President Trump's tariff announcement, China's Ministry of Commerce issued a statement that, quote, firmly opposes the tariffs and, quote, will resolutely take countermeasures to safeguard its own rights and interests. This so-called reciprocal tariffs, which are based on subjective and unilateral assessments by the United States, are not in line with the rules of international trade, seriously jeopardize the legitimate rights and interests of the parties concerned, and are typical of unilateral bullying, the Chinese ministry said, end quote. So that's what's going on here. There was one more thing in here I wanted to add. Quote, we think Chinese governments are likely to retaliate with some targeted tariffs for U.S. products as well as non-target export controls. Goldman analyst Andrew Tilton, he ended up being right here this morning. Beijing has purposely kept more in reserve, both in terms of domestic stimulus and retaliatory measures, in case it needs to respond forcefully. Ruby Osman. Osman, probably, a China expert at the Tony Blair Institute for Global Change, said that to Reuters there. Some stocks to watch here on this news. Alibaba getting hit here, down 10%. JD down almost 10% as well here. The FXI down about 6.5%, and the KWEB getting blasted down about 9%. So a lot of those Chinese stocks that have been doing really well, really starting to come back in on this news. Next. I was at the bottom of that. Peter Schiff says Nike won't build factories in the U.S. and will continue to sell to countries like China. So let's go ahead and actually we'll start with it. I should have done that first. Sorry about that. Here is your Nike chart. We had talked a lot about Nike recently, just being one of those OG, if you will, brands. We talked about the 60 to 63 being the next support level after we snapped the 70 to 71 support level that has really been holding since middle of the year last year. And now we are hunting for lower. So same thing as the market here. We're actually beneath the COVID lows here on Nike. We're back to a consolidation area here from 2016 to 2018. We'll see if Nike can actually firm up here at all. We are oversold here pretty dramatically on the RSI here for Nike. 16.29, your RSI reading, and negative 99.61 on the Williams percent-R. So massively oversold here on Nike. Again, could see a reflexive bounce, but this one, a lot of exposure to the high China tariffs, and it is struggling here. It is struggling. So with that, we'll go ahead and take a look at the Peter Schiff article. Economist Peter Schiff warned on Thursday that Nike won't shift production to the United States despite newly imposed tariffs, predicting higher prices and reduced domestic sales for the footwear giant. Quote, Nike won't build factories in the U.S. to make sneakers. That would add more cost than the 40% tariffs, end quote. The result will be fewer sneakers sold in the U.S. at much higher prices. Neglects to mention that Nike is already seeing less sales, and that has been a trend for some time now as the consumer is already switching brands. When questioned whether Nike might absorb tariff costs while building domestic factories, Schiff dismissed the idea, suggesting that the company would instead redirect products. Quote, they will eventually sell more sneakers to consumers in other countries instead, as they buy what Americans can no longer afford, end quote. So Peter Schiff ringing the alarm here on Nike, saying it is likely over for Nike, or at least painting a very grim picture. He's quite skilled at doing that. The comments come as Nike shares plummeted 14.4% on Thursday after President Trump announced sweeping reciprocal tariffs affecting the company's supply chain. Vietnam, where Nike produces nearly 50% of its footwear, faces a 46% tariff increase. Not in the article here, but saw on Twitter, Vietnam sent a government member as on an emergency basis to come meet with the White House. Saw those tweets last night. So see if anything comes out of that. There were quotes yesterday about Trump saying that he would be open to negotiating some of the tariff rates if the offer was, quote, phenomenal, end quote. So we'll see if the emergency meeting is bringing some phenomenal type of deal there. I suspect that that's probably not going to be a headline that you see here today. Nike revenue worldwide in millions of US dollars from the fiscal year. This is going to be this chart right here. In fact, you know what? I think I forgot to give you the story in case you wanted that. My bad. Here you go. Okay. Goldman Sachs identified Nike among several retailers with high exposure to new tariffs, including the 34% rate for China and the 32% for Indonesia, which are key manufacturing locations for that. Consumer discretionary with Nike competitors also suffering substantial losses. Lululemon, which is down another 7.3% here this morning, and Adidas shares are down 39%, or declined on its 39% Vietnamese manufacturing exposure. Only Restoration Hardware was down 39%. Come on now. Analysts warn that brands will need to adjust pricing, negotiate with vendors, and optimize costs to protect margins. Wedbush Securities analyst Dan Ives called the tariffs, quote, worse than the worst case scenario, end quote, with a particular concern about China and the Taiwan tariffs there. Nike lags behind Lululemon, Columbia Sportswear, Under Armour, Skechers, VF Corp, and On Holdings, struggling with negative growth and momentum. So there you go. Nike not in the greatest spot. White Chocolate Mocha here saying no Nike items in my house. This is separate from the news here, but that's been the case for me for a long time. As someone that grew up in the city of Chicago, idolizing Michael Jordan and literally fawning over the Nike brand, I don't know that I've ever seen a brand destruction as poor or as quick as Nike was over the course of my life. The products became worse. They didn't fit. They didn't look cool, and they were replaced by other products rather quickly. This now, on top of that, I don't know what this means. All I know is that any Nike product that I have tried, from golf balls to golf gloves to shoes, are just bottom of the barrel. I know Nike's a popular brand. I know it's got a rich history. It'll be interesting to see if they can turn this around. It'll be interesting to see if they also, if they're able to, how much they're actually able to stomach of all of this. Okay, next thing that I wanted to discuss here real quick, volatility, because that is the other piece of news. VIX here, 45.56, your high print still holding in a 41 handle. We said yesterday when the VIX was in the 20s that there is likely some more. VIX is not high enough yet. We did get a VIX pop here today. We'll see if we go any higher than that. The CBOE VIX, which is also known as the volatility index of the fear gauge, zoomed to 39.56% to close at 30.02 on Thursday following the tariffs imposed by President Trump. According to Charlie Bello, the chief market strategist of creative planning, the VIX index closed at the highest level since August 5th, which was the yen carry trade unwind of 2024. Fear is on the rise and stocks are on sale, providing more opportunities for long-term investors. So I guess the first question here, are you ready to invest long-term in it? Are you ready to invest long-term in it, or are you willing to wait? In fact, producer, that might be one of the questions that we should run here on the poll. I was asking happy hour yesterday, is anyone nibbling? Did anyone buy anything? It's pretty much how I opened it. One of the only things that I bought for long-term here, STWD, simply added to a dividend position just because the uncertainty that I was hoping was gone simply isn't gone yet. So I'll sit in an income stock that'll at least pay me to wait. Let me know if you bought anything. Let me know if any of these stocks that are on sale are attractive yet. I am going to take a little bit more cautious approach here. Anyway, Bellio said that highlighted the historical data and said that the S&P 500 has given higher than average returns after biggest volatility spikes in the past. The data shared by him shows that after a similar spike on August 5th, 2024, the S&P 500 index returned 6% over 1 month, 11% over 3 months, and 18% over the next 6 months. Really reinforcing here that when there's blood in the streets, that is in fact the time to buy. I know it's very, very difficult. The hold your nose and buy, not the greatest thing in the world. It's Friday here. The market doesn't bottom on Friday. I completely understand. Completely understand. how difficult it is. That is, I don't want, this is what we should be doing, but I don't want to make it sound like it's easy. It's not easy. And if any of you are worried out there over the past couple of days, yes, I'm getting absolutely smoked on my long-term holdings. I did actually trade Intel yesterday, which we're going to talk about here in a sec. That was about it. And that was not even close to offset a lot of the destruction that's going on right here. Again, I want to reiterate that you should all be patient. Know what you own. If you don't know why you own something, that's one thing. But if you have a long-term approach on something, you should feel pretty good about that. You should know why you own it. The VIX spiked nearly 40% higher today and closed above 30 for the first time since last August. What has happened the past following biggest volatility spikes? Higher than average forward S&P 500 returns. Here is the actual tweet. I know that this chart is very small, so I'm not going to make you guys squint and try to read all of that. Instead, I'm just going to link that here and give that to you. Okay. Let's go back here to the article. I think that was down here is about it. The benchmark indices have slipped into correction zone as they have plunged below 10% from previous highs. The S&P 500 index was down 12.22% from its record high, whereas the NASDAQ was down 16.65% lower from its 52-week high, essentially getting closer to the bear market territory of down 20%. Now, again, just to kind of go back to the charts here real quick, give you an idea of exactly where we're at. SPY here, pretty far away from that, right? We just hit the 15% pullback level, the 20% pullback level, the bear territory, correction territory value for that is 490.49. 490.49. Now, one thing to keep in mind here is to zoom out and just put in perspective where we're at. Well, I understand that down days hurt, especially when it's double-digit down days. The COVID low here in the SPY, 230. We are currently at 522. So just keep in perspective where we're actually at and what a 20% pullback level would actually bring, right? Here it is. Got my cursor right there. This is where that 20% pullback level is. With the Qs, story's a little bit different. We're a little bit closer. Actually, it looks like we almost tapped it today. Yes. In fact, we did almost get there. Your 20% pullback level for the Qs, 432.40, current price 437.80. So we are within striking distance of that here today. Also, the 500-day down there, 432.69. Okay. And did I give you the Charlie Bella tweet? Yes. Perfect. All right. Next here, we're going to talk about Intel. And actually, I'm going to start with the chart. We should always just start with the chart. What am I doing not starting with the chart? We should just keep doing that. Here we go. So here is Intel. Now, this is an intraday 5-minute chart of Intel. You can see yesterday, huge spike here on volume. Stock went from trading at about 21 bucks, peaked out here at almost 24, 23 and change, 23.89. I'm going to start here by saying massive shout out to the Benzinga news desk team, all of them. This was squawked yesterday. This is what brought it to my attention. You guys have kind of instilled some FOMO in me just because when I'm on the show here, I don't listen to the squawk. I'm trying to do too many things, but I really want to listen to it. So when I get a chance, which is rare, when I get a chance in the middle of the day where I don't have to be locked in on something, I like to turn it on here. I was blessed yesterday because I was able to hear this. And as soon as I heard this, I scalped this stock here. Got about 60 cents on it too. Was not a bad scalp. Now it ended up moving multiple points, but that you don't know that in the moment here. Now, what did it move on is your question? I'm glad you asked. TSMC steps up to take 20% stake in joint venture with Intel as the struggling chip maker grapples with nearly $19 billion in losses in 2024. Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing is reportedly set to acquire a 20% stake in a new joint venture with Intel aimed at addressing the U.S. chip-making ongoing struggles, including the $18.8 billion net loss in 2024. Intel and TSMC have reached preliminary agreements to form a joint venture that will take over the operations of Intel's manufacturing facilities, report told Reuters. Who thinks that this is going to help the production of 2 and 3 nanometer chips? Who thinks that we're actually going to be able to build some of those sought after chips here stateside? I'd be curious to know. TSMC, the world's largest contract chip maker, will hold a 20% stake in the new venture. The deal comes amid pressure from the U.S. government officials, including the White House and the Commerce Department, who have pushed both companies to resolve Intel's ongoing manufacturing and customer service challenges. Intel has struggled to manufacture chips for external clients, which has led to delays and failed tests. Earlier this year, Intel appointed chip industry veteran Lip-Bu Tan as the CEO to spearhead its revival efforts. Despite these challenges, TSMC has been active in the U.S. with plans for $100 billion investment in new chip facilities over the next few years. Did see some spitballing here about maybe you'll be able to get those factories spun up a little bit quicker if there's a joint venture here with Intel. I don't know the answer to that, but that would be something to watch for future news catalysts here, for future headlines. The new CEO has been candid about the company's challenges, emphasizing the need to align spending with market demand. Previously, it was reported that the joint venture, which could see other companies like NVIDIA, AMD, and Broadcom take stakes as part of a broader strategy to turn around Intel's fortune after the company reported significant losses in 2024. Meanwhile, TSMC's expansion into the U.S. has reportedly raised concerns in Taiwan about the possible risks associated with such a significant investment abroad. That's something that we've talked about for a while here as well. TSMC shares are down 11.55% year to date, while Intel has gained 10.93% over the same period. However, over the past 12 months, TSMC is up 20.31, whereas Intel has plunged 44.38. All right, so that's what's going on here. That's pretty much most of the news here today. I guess there was some news on GameStop, but I'm not sure how many of you folks really care about that. GameStop, Ryan Cohn to buy GameStop stock on Thursday. Is that going to be enough to save it? You tell me. It looks like we popped in the after hours, dropping here today. $21 price here on GameStop. And if we look at the daily chart here, you are approaching a test with the 500-day moving average, and the RSI still telling us we've got more room to go down. More room to go down. Okay. Let's see. What time is it? It is 8:22. We are going to have Mark Petrino pretty soon. I wanted to make sure I got through some of that news. Really, there wasn't a whole lot here today. We all know what's going on. The tariff tantrum here, the huge move down on the market. That's what's going on. That's what we're going to be watching here today. I did ask if any of you guys bought anything. I don't know if I got any. I don't know if I got any responses to that. Let's see here. Poll is up. Is anyone buying stocks at the moment? Yes, no, or dividend stocks? I like that. I like that. Okay. What has really replaced Nike? Please do tell as an athlete. Well, it depends what kind of sporting goods there. Puts on me. Those should pay. For me, it was just like the shoes were just awful. Not well made, not cool, not good looking, not comfortable. And I was able to replace that with other brands like New Balance. That was a long time ago. And in fact, even some of the newer brands like On Running, much, much better. Look much better, much more comfortable, much higher performance. None of the other Nike apparel, golf clubs, golf balls, none of that stuff is top of the line, just comparing it against some of its other stuff there. Just don't like it. It is different for everybody, so I totally get that, but for me, not really great. I don't think Nike really focuses on golfers. Well, Tiger Woods had a huge impact on Nike and was a huge part of that for a long time. Now, I know he's not anymore, but we'll see where that ends up going. Okay, let's see. Where else did you guys buy? Pete, Dell is getting insanely cheap, but I don't think this is over yet. NVIDIA is getting close. Let's take a look at that. So let me know if you have a buy spot there on Dell. As far as NVIDIA goes, we have been talking a lot about the 99 to 100 spot. Well, guess what? We've actually broken beneath that here. NVIDIA 97.6 here in the pre-market, right at the bottom edge of that channel. We'll see if this continues to move in. If it does, 85 3/4 is going to be your spot down there at the 500-day moving average. But NVIDIA Generally speaking, when it gets to the bottom edge of this channel, it should bounce. We'll see if we do get a reflective bounce. Even a reflexive bounce back to the midline of this channel might be something that's tradable there to the long side. Pete, I'd like to know, you said NVIDIA is getting close. Do you have a number on that? Do you have a spot that NVIDIA may bounce from? I'd be curious to know. But doesn't look like there was a lot of purchasing out there. Day trader, I doubled my CRG bag. So that's a dividend stock, right? That's an energy dividend stock there. That you added there. Let's see. I don't think I saw anything else in terms of buys there. Judge, looks like you were taking intel on that. Buffalo by Bicycles. This is a good question here. Anyone buying index funds yet? Anyone dollar cost averaging on any index funds? I'd like to know. I'd be interested in that too. Okay. ICCT. Call on TLT. Mav, so you were buying that yesterday. Okay, awesome. Bobby, you were buying Hood, or I think, based on what you were saying here. Hood still, I still think 33 is coming here on Hood, but I do like that, and we're actually approaching oversold territory here on Hood as well. NVIDIA down below 98, is that the time to buy? So judging on the chart tells me that yes, this is the time to buy, but Pete brings up a really good point. If you don't think that this is over, maybe catching a falling knife probably isn't the best strategy. If you want to be a little bit more conservative, maybe see if we get a curl here at all today. Maybe the market bounces off of the 20% pullback level that we just observed in the SPY. Maybe you get a little bit of an intraday bounce. Maybe you even get a headline here that kind of turns things around. That's going to be up to you, though. I can't advise one way or another. I've been practicing patience and being careful and not trying to be aggressive on some of these things. The Intel thing didn't feel like catching a falling knife. There was a news catalyst backing behind that. That's why I took that one instead of some other trades. But if I were just looking at the chart on NVIDIA, we're at the spot where we should bounce, at least from what we've been charting since the middle of November, end of last year. We're at a spot where we should bounce here. We'll see if we do end up bouncing. Okay. Nibbling on the quantum sector. Okay. Interesting. Let me know how that one goes. Let's see. Did I think CCG trader saying cash waiting for earnings? Now the earnings season, that should be something, right? I'm expecting these to be not good. And maybe they put up a decent number for the prior quarter, maybe, but the guide going forward, I don't know, man. I don't know about that. I don't see how CEOs can be confident unless some of that uncertainty gets removed between now and then. And I'm not sure that that's the case. Dario, excuse me. Let me know if I pronounced that correctly. If it's Dario or Dario, I think it's Dario. 94.73 on NVIDIA, I think. Respect. Love that you're given an actual spot there, and that is very, very specific. We'll see if you do get a bounce from there. We're only 3 points away from that. Only 3 points away from that. Glenn here giving you an NVIDIA spot. Glenn, good morning. Good to see you again here. NVIDIA, I'll buy at the 0.618 level. That's 91.03, and that's just for a trade. So it looks like you're trying to trade that here to the short side. Love it. Another very specific spot there. And producer, thank you for the reminder. We do have the non-farm payroll data. I knew while I was running down the list, I was like, Ryan, you forgot something. That's what it was. Thanks, producer, for backing me up there. Okay. I love your optimism. Look, man, glass half full. I'm always looking up. And the one thing that you will always see from me, I will never, ever, ever bet against America. Sometimes got to wait out some pain, but I will never bet against America. Okay. Lion here says, I think we may have a relief rally, but I think we may still have some more downside to go. That wouldn't surprise me at all, Lion. That actually seems like a really kind of a safe bet. I hesitate to use that word because I don't think that's great, but that does sound pretty familiar. Ryan saying, how can anyone report guidance in these conditions? I mean, they can say whatever they want. How can they report accurate guidance? With you on that. We'll see. Okay. Where are we at here? 28. I am going to bring on Mark here while we're waiting for that data print to show up. So producer, club me over the head with something if I happen to miss it. But I'm going to keep my eyes peeled for it. Folks, it's Friday. It's Mark Petrino time. Let's talk to him. Let's see how he's doing. Mark, good morning. Happy Friday. How you doing, my man?
Hey, I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing really good. I know that the market is Not having a great couple of days here and really, really struggling, but I am doing well. I woke up here and I'm breathing and things are good. So what do you got for us here today? And again, just as a reminder, pretty soon I'm probably going to interrupt you to go with that data print with those non-farm payroll numbers.
Yeah, no problem. Well, I mean, markets don't go down forever. And,
Right.
I mean, a 10% correction, or I mean, we'll be down a little bit more than that. Um, I mean, is it because of tariffs? Is it not because of tariffs? Who knows? I mean, when the market went down 10% back between August of 23 and November of 23, there was no talk about tariffs then. I don't even remember what news drove that. Um, but I think we're getting close to where we're going to probably start seeing some bounces. And let's think about the dynamics of this, right? Regardless of what's going to happen with the economy, it's going to be good, it's going to be bad, or the tariffs are going to be good or bad or whatever. Eventually, everyone who wants to sell sells, and then there's no one left to sell. And at that point, the only place the market can go is up because it runs out of sellers.
Let me
And
pause. Let me pause you right there. Sorry, Mark. U.S. unemployment rate for March 4.2 versus the 4.1 estimate. The prior read was 4.1. That number's slightly hot there. U6 unemployment rate for March 7.9 versus the 8.0 estimate. U.S. non-farm payrolls for March 228,000 versus the 137,000 estimate. The prior read there was 117. S&P futures initially were trading higher on that, but have pared back some of the gains. There's your data print. We'll see how the market shakes out here. Mark, I apologize for interrupting.
oh, that's okay. Yeah, so I was doing a little bit of research into tariffs. Can I share my screen here?
Yes, absolutely, you can.
Okay.
By the way, while we're waiting here, Tracy, I like this. I like this patient approach here. I'm kind of waiting for next week's tariff deadline to pass and see what takes place. Remember, that's April 9th. We were supposed to have another announcement of any escalated tariffs. So I think that makes a lot of sense there, Tracy. I think that's the patient approach.
Okay, so here we go.
There we go.
All right, I'm going to give my website a shameless plug here.
Oh, and by the way, just so you're aware, definitely do it. But just so you're aware, we will shamelessly plug you throughout the segment.
Yeah, and what I started to do is if people sign up as a paying student or subscriber, I send them my technical analysis presentation. I just gave throughout the city. But anyway, so I was just kind of interested in looking at this. So the highest tariffs in U.S. history were Smoot-Hawley tariffs. Those were two senators of 1930, and it was 59%. There's some other ones where they call this the tariff of abominations. That's what they said in the South, because in the North they passed all these tariffs that were detrimental to agriculture. McKinley boasted protective tariff rates of nearly 50%. Before World War II, taxes were 20%. Now, I don't really understand this because it says that the average on all the tariffs now is expected to rise 8.4%, but the numbers I'm hearing have been a lot higher. So I don't know. Maybe it's just overhyped, and I mean I don't know, right? 8.4%. But anyway, like I do the stock of the day, and I was looking today at Best Buy, and when this market does turn, and it will. I mean I don't know if it's going to be today, but markets don't go down forever. Look at this Best Buy. Look at where it is trading this morning, right? Let me get rid of these Bollinger Bands here. Now we're going to go and look at this former bottom back here. So where is this? Like right around 57, 58. Look where it's trading this morning, right? So it's another case of when something, now I don't know what's going to happen. Obviously, maybe this port breaks and it goes all the way down, or it keeps going down. But a lot of times when you get to a level that was support before, you get support again. And this goes back to our psychology, where there's people who sold back here who regretted doing so when it blasted off right after. And they say, if it ever gets back to my price, I'm going to buy my shares back. So if you get enough of these remorseful sellers from back here, placing buy orders here, it creates support. So I don't think it's a coincidence that as of now, this is where this sell-off is stalled. And I've been watching this all morning. It hasn't really moved. But I think the way to trade something like this is to wait for the reversal to happen. Like a possible trigger here would be, see how this RSI shows we're oversold? If this blue line gets back above, if this blue line gets back above the red line, then that could be a trigger to get in.
Okay, so you're looking for a possible bounce here today on ticker BBY, or basically just when that confirms that there's an entry.
I think that, when the market reverses, some stocks will obviously reverse more than others. So,
So
if
in
the
this case,
S&P reverses, it's like, yeah,
so
you can buy the S&P, but you could also buy some of the stocks in it that have a higher beta that are going to
So would
move by
you
more.
watch then would you use the S&P as more of a barometer there to maybe buy some of these other stocks that you find at support levels?
Yeah, let's and remember, not all stocks are going down too. This is I wrote about this Johnson and Johnson on one of these days last week, and I mean, so this came in here, found support at this level that had been resistance. We got to just tighten it up a little bit, but it bounced right off that. It went from 155 to up to about 160. So anyway, all right. So let's take a look at the S&P and see where we might potentially find a bottom. So we're trading here this morning down here, probably down around 510, 511 is where maybe we start to think about some kind of a reversal, because it was this former bottom back here and we're really oversold. Now let's look at,
That's interesting, Mark, because the 500-day moving average, which is a moving average I plot on my charts, is about 508.69. So it's
really,
right in that same area that you just highlighted. It's not the same, but it's very, very close.
yeah, yeah, there's going to be some chances for some real quick, low risk profits. I mean, not that I can guarantee it, obviously, but
Sure.
there's going to be a lot of stuff moving over the next couple of days, probably going in the opposite direction as going in now. Because markets don't go down forever, or don't go up forever. This is all just part of it. And we're only now, if we look at where the S&P is, we're back where we were in August. So we're not like multi-year lows or the market's completely crashing. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen, but I would just say be ready, because if it starts to reverse, it could accelerate
Yeah.
pretty quickly. Um, an interesting to watch is the healthcare sector. I'm going to just bring up the ETFs that follow these sectors. And so the healthcare sector is kind of held on to support here, right? So it's kind of hanging right around the support. So, healthcare has been doing not good because it's trending lower, but it's not terrible. Here's something that I think you got to really keep an eye on, which could kind of be a key for the rest of the entire market. This is our financial sector. And look at this, right? We're pretty much at support right now. And this
Yeah.
morning, we're kind of really not moving. So if this starts to reverse here, I think that'll be the catalyst that gets the broader market moving higher. Different things are in the driver's seat at different times in terms of the sectors. There's 11 different sectors. And now I'm going to bring up the technology sector. Let's take a look at this guy. Now, where could the possible bottom for this sector be? Again, the former bottom over there, but which we're basically right at, right? If I'm reading this correctly.
And you are.
Yeah, so you got the financials are at support, you got tech is at support. Oh, both are really oversold. Right there is about 45% of the market. And then if you add in healthcare, which is at support, that's about 60% of the market. And that's not even getting into any of these other sectors here. So that's pretty interesting. And what I want to do too here is just show you a quick look at oil, which had a massive move lower yesterday, like big time lower. Let's take a look at this.
Down 7%.
Yeah, look at that. So that broke support that had been going all the way back for 2 years. So that's a big level. I guess it goes without saying it's because of all this tariff talk or whatever. But anyway, I just wanted to point that out because there's probably going to be a reversal there for people that like to trade the commodity ETFs.
Mark, in your experience, what do you make of the old adage that the market never bottoms on Friday?
I'm sure that's not 100% true, but I think I can see the logic on that. So if you're talking about a bottom, by implication, the market's been going down. So when we get to the weekend, a lot of the people that are short are going to want to just cover their positions. So that could give us a little bit of a bounce on Friday. So yeah, I think that's an adage that could be based on some kind of logical reason or logical reasoning. Yeah,
Okay.
right. I mean, a lot of times when the market's even if the market's going up, whatever trend is going on Friday, whether it's up or down, kind of accelerates as we go into the close. So,
And
I
I would
wanted to show
imagine,
you this.
I would imagine with so much uncertainty that you wouldn't necessarily want to carry long positions or new positions into a weekend either.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. So you get a lot of rebalancing at the end of the day sometimes. I wanted to show you this, but their site is down. This is the ISM report, or you might have heard of the Purchasing Managers Index. That comes out on the first of every month. And what they do is they interview CEOs and important people in all different industries, everything from textiles to tech to electronics, you name it. And the tone of all the comments, there might be maybe 10 or 15 comments by CEOs of all different industries, were really kind of frightening. Like everyone is like, wow, things are really, really slowing down over here. I wish I could show it to you, but the site's down. But if you want to check it out later, it's just ism.org. Um, yeah, and you can get a lot of insight from that report because it's not like a brokerage report. It's not biased. It's just pure data and commentary. So anyway, that's take that for what it is. But another thing where we talk about sentiment, right, is like I was watching the news this morning, just the local New York, the local New York news, right? And they're all talking about the stock market. So by the time the market gets to the attention of people that don't normally follow it, then that's the sign that we could be getting close to an end. It's a sentiment signal. And if we look here at this sentiment indicator, this shows us that almost 62% of investors are bearish, which is a year high. The bullish part is very low. And again, if everyone is bearish, or I shouldn't say everyone, but if the vast majority of people are bearish, what do? They sell. And at some point, that last person sells that last share and the market runs out of sellers. And the only way it can go is up. And it's the opposite on the top. When the market runs out of buyers, then it starts to go down. All right.
okay.
So what else should we
You have
look
a
at?
stock of the day for us?
Well, today I was going to do the BBY. I did the Johnson and Johnson, which I think was a good call. We just showed you that. What the hell else did I do this week? Um, yeah, so when I do the stock of the day, I'm actually I got a good idea here. How do we do this? I'm going to just show you the page. Mark Petrino Benzinga. Yeah, so this is what I do on this every day. Well, not every day, but every day the market's open. And
Mhm.
yeah, so I just talk about various things, and we talk about support, see if the thing is going to go one way or the other. But anyway, yeah, I do it in like kind of an educational way. I try to like teach people about the psychology that moves these things around because we could talk all about tariffs and so forth, but what has really changed? I mean, has the market really? Why? All right, let me start again. Why is the technology sector have the exact same valuation as it did in July if things are really that bad? I mean, who knows? Maybe it keeps going lower, but I just think that a lot of these things are starting to look like they're just getting overdone. And yeah, look at where this is here, right? So yeah, so that's where we're trading there. So this is getting pretty close to support. So yeah, so you got these major sectors are at support. Let's see if some of the non-major sectors, because we always looked for these for different ideas, right? If this is the industrial sector, and you can see that this is at pause at a former support level. Communication services is the home of Google and Facebook. People think those are big tech, but they're actually in the communication services sector. Yeah, now that broke down here. That looks like it could go a little bit more, but yeah. Does anyone have any particular stocks they want me to look at? Because I'd be happy
Yeah.
to.
Yeah, let's do it. There were a couple here. I don't know if they were specifically asked if you would do them, but let's talk about them. First two on the list here, Gilead, which actually was trading up yesterday. Costco and Kroger caught a bid yesterday too. But anyway, GILD, and then we can also take a look at Apple. And then XLU. We got a couple here. I'll repeat them for you when we're ready.
Yeah. Now this to me looks, considering the tone of the overall market, the fact that this has been trending higher would make me think that this stock is pretty healthy. So, I mean, I don't see anything too dramatic, but that's the first thing that strikes me with the market down the way it is, and this guy, going counter trends. That could be a bullish signal there that this trend is going to keep going. And then if I was just trading this, I would look for some resistance up around here at this former peak here, because there's going to be people that bought here
Hmm.
who regretted doing so when the price went lower. And now they're watching this and they're thinking like, all right, I got this losing position on Gilead, but if it gets back up to my buy price and I can sell and, dump it out at break even, I'm going to. So if there's enough remorseful buyers from here placing sell orders over here, there'll be resistance at what was a former top. And that goes back to the old Wall Street expression, sell at former tops. Hey, Ryan, I
Hmm.
want to ask you something about your Trans Am. Are you a muscle car guy?
Yeah, I've been a car guy for as long as I can remember. Absolutely love cars.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Yeah, the older I used to be a total sports car guy, but now that I'm getting older, I'm kind of getting into muscle cars.
Yeah, so when I was in high school, my parents, when I was getting my driver's license, my parents had a minivan and a station wagon, one of those old Woody wagons. So you have to understand, in high school, when I was first trying to meet girls, if I wanted to drive, my choice was a minivan or a Woody wagon. So what do you think I did? What do you think I did, Mark? I worked my ass off and I saved every penny I could and bought a Mustang. Then I
Uh,
realized the Mustang didn't have enough power in that 5 liter engine that it had. So I bought a Trans Am, which was a 5.7 liter engine. Then I built that car. Then I made money street racing that car. And then eventually I sold that car and the next guy blew it up. But yeah,
wow.
huge fan of muscle cars. I'm in the phase of my life where I'm into sports sedans. I want it to look like a sedan, but I want it to absolutely go, baby, go.
That's awesome. All right, what's next?
Okay. That was Gilead. Let's do Apple next. Then we can probably do Meta after that.
All right, let's take a look at Apple. And this is trading down about 193 this morning. Yeah, I
Oh,
mean,
yeah. Let me see, because sometimes those charts don't show you the pre-market value until it updates. I got 193.57. You're right on.
yeah, so you can see that that's where we found this bottom in August, like around 195, 196. June. So this is getting close to potential important price level as well. Again, there's going to be people that sold who are going to want to buy their shares back if they can get them at the price they sold them at. Because can you imagine selling? This is like seller's remorse times two, or seller's remorse on steroids, because you sell and then the next day, not only does it just go higher, it like blasts off. It's not like a
Yeah.
little slow trend. And the same thing happens here. So a lot of
I
times
think
when you
that
get to
really,
support,
really quickly, Mark, because you talk a lot about psychology, and I'm just thinking back to some of my own trading examples. This has happened to me a number of times where I've sold, and then like the next day, the stock just absolutely puts in a power candle, and it's basically giving me the middle finger, right? That's
yeah,
effectively what the market is telling you. Well, that to me sometimes has like kind of crystallized that trade for me. How do you end up dealing with that? If you make a mistake, if you sell early, how do you end up kind of resolving that or getting past that?
well, you got to just accept the fact that losses are part of trading. A lot, I was looking at this thing called what's it called, like Upwork, because I'm always looking for
Hmm.
new things to do,
Hmm.
and I saw these people that are looking for trading coaches or mentors, and one guy's like, I'm looking for an 80% win rate. It's like no one has an 80% win rate. The best traders at SAC have a win rate of about 67%. So that's kind of just unrealistic. It's like here's what it all comes down to. You're going to get into a position, and it's either going to be break even, a small loss, a small gain, or a big loss and a big gain, or a big gain. If you can just get rid of those big losses, then that's the name of the game. You have some break evens, you have some small losses, you have some small gains, but it's those big gains that are the ones that make you the money. And it's not
Hmm.
necessarily every trade. I mean, people, I think, have unrealistic expectations. Maybe someone who's really, really savvy, like a Steve Cohen, could have an 80% win rate if they were trading $1 million, right? But if
Hmm.
you're
Hmm.
trading 17 billion like he has, it's not as easy. It's not as easy because you got so many moving parts. But anyway, it's all the psychology. So it's like, yeah, there's people here that are like, oh, Apple gave me the finger, and now when it gets back down, I'm going to buy it. And then you could get a reaction where some of the people that create the support with their buy orders start to worry that other buyers will outbid them or be willing to pay higher prices. And they don't want to miss out. So they increase the prices that they're going to pay. Others people see that and they do the same thing. And you get this snowball effect that pushes the price higher. So a lot of times, we had support there, we got to support there and we rallied. We got to support there and we rallied. So there tends to be support at former support levels because of seller's remorse, and markets tend to rally off of support because of anxious buyers getting in the way of each other. So it's important to understand the psychology of this, in my opinion, if you want to do it right. I mean, I think there's like just a lot of misinformation out there. Speaking as someone who was in the institutional world for almost 2 decades, people don't really understand what hedge funds are. They don't really understand what dark pools are, what algorithms are. It's not as mysterious as it seems. I mean, a chart is supply and demand. If there's more demand, it goes up. If there's more supply, it goes down. If supply and demand are equal, it just goes sideways. All right. So Facebook, Meta.
Meta.
I am happy to say I have never once in my life used Facebook.
I am happy to say that I was one of when Facebook released their pilot program to 10 different schools. I was attending Indiana University in Bloomington, which was one of the 10 schools that allowed people to create a Facebook account. That's when I created it. I had a real world family experience because someone in my extended family saw something on my Facebook and then told my mother about it while I was in college. My mother didn't like that. It was benign. It was some Hunter S. Thompson quote from Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. But I was like, once I saw that come full circle, I said, yep, this is garbage. And I locked my account, canceled my account, haven't been back. That was decades ago at this point.
When I was at UConn, we went to see Hunter S. Thompson talk, and he comes in and he's got this suitcase. And he's like, I need an assistant. So he picks like the most pretty girl in the crowd to go up there, and he just opens up his suitcase, and it was a mobile bar, and he just started drinking. And by the end of his speech, man, the dude was so hammered. It was pretty wild. I'll never forget that.
Yeah,
but Facebook here, look where it's trading. Right, it found a former bottom here, so really oversold. So this could be primed to reverse as well. And when you see a situation like this, you could get a kind of a fast move, because if a stock, this is actually a good example up here. If a stock spends a lot of time trading at certain price levels and it goes, say, sideways or consolidates, it just develops more vested interest because there's just more trading at those price levels. If you go quickly through price levels one way, you don't have that same amount of vested interest building up. So if you reverse back and go through those same levels going in the opposite direction, you tend to make a fast move back here as well. And then you see when we got down into the range here where there was consolidation again, right? More people care at these levels than care up at these levels. So we have the opposite situation here. Because it's a stock that's going down, but it's the same principle. We had this big gap down and fast move down yesterday. I don't really know what's going on this morning, but it looks like it's down pretty big again. So one of the main reasons why we get resistance is because you have people that buy stock that get remorseful when it goes lower. For example, you buy something at 10 and it goes to 8, and people say, all right, if it gets back to 10, I'm going to sell. When you rip through price levels really quickly like this, there's just not a lot of time. The stock didn't trade in between these levels. So if it didn't trade, by definition, there's no one who bought who's now remorseful, who's going to be trying to sell on the way back up. So all else being equal, if we have a situation where you get to support like that, a slow trend down to support, and you reverse, it's probably going to be something like that. If you get a fast move down into the support like that, there's a good chance you get a fast reversal like that. So it goes back to the old expression that gaps refill. And that's exactly what this refers to. Maybe technically it's not a gap. This was a gap, but this is really just a fast move. But the principle is that because you move through those price levels so quickly, there's just not as much interest at price levels where you spend a lot of time trading. So if this thing reverses, and it will reverse, I don't know if it's going to reverse from this level or keep going down, but when it reverses, it's going to be a pretty powerful move, I would think.
Okay. One more, Amazon. That's a popular stock here. It's under pressure. I think everyone has exposure to Amazon in one way or another, whether you're a customer, own the stock, or otherwise.
All right. So where are we this morning? About 168. Looks like. Yeah, I mean, I think the two things to watch here, this is what I would be watching if I was trading this, is this former bottom there, which is down about 155, and then probably this bottom right here, which is pretty much where we're trading this morning. So same kind of principle that we just saw with Meta is that if that reversal comes over the next day or two, and I would suspect that, I mean, I won't put it this way. I wouldn't be surprised to see a big reversal today or Monday or Tuesday. But it's the same thing, right? We gap through these price levels going quickly.
I was just going to say, Mark, I'm looking at this here. I can't help it, man. I can't help it. I'm looking at that level there, 169. That thing is gappy up to 200.
Yeah. And, instead of just trying to catch the fallen knife, which is what a lot of people do, unfortunately, I think it's a better thing. And I recommend to my students that you wait for the reversal to actually start before you jump in. And there's two different things that we look at. One is called a setup and one is called a trigger. And then we have the exit strategy. So it's actually three things. But the setup means something looks like it's going to move imminently, up or down, something that's really overbought or really, really oversold, or something that just broke an important level or reversed off an important level, something that looks like it's going to move. Now, when a stock is this oversold and it gets to what could be support, well, that we would call a setup, but we don't have the trigger. A possible trigger would be like, all right, when this blue RSI line crosses back above this red horizontal line, that will tell me that the trading conditions are getting kind of back to normal. The emotions are settling down, so to speak. And that could be the first stage that happens before something starts to move up. Because what's the first thing something needs to do to move up? Well, it needs to stop going down, right? And I know that that's kind of silly, but it's true. So instead of just like guessing and trying to catch the bottom, because one of my oft quoted Wall Street expressions is the only people that can catch the bottoms and the tops are liars. And that's not my personal expression. It's been around for a while. But yeah, so I just think you stack the odds more in your favor if you wait for that reversal to happen and you have a trigger, because the whole idea is you want to take the emotion out of it and you want to take the guesswork out of it. No system is perfect, because if it was, everyone would use it.
Yeah.
Right. But if you can take the guesswork out of it, that'll help you calm your emotions and it'll help you not lose sight of what the heck is really going on or making dumb emotional decisions.
Yeah.
And the other thing too is you always need to have an exit strategy. You shouldn't go into a position if you don't know how you're going to get out. You got to have a strategy for, all right, here's my initial stop out. So let's just hypothetically say that we bought Amazon right in here around where it's trading, right? Okay, so my target could be, all right, this is my target for a profit, right? I'm just going to pull a number out of there. This former bottom here is going to be my target around 189. So that's about $20 higher. So if we get back up to that, that's where I sell for my profit. My initial stop out, in other words, hey, I got this wrong. It's not working the way I thought, would be if it gets back down below this price level that had been important. So that's your initial stop out. So basically you're looking at 3-point potential loss versus a 20-point potential gain. And that's pretty nice, a pretty nice risk reward ratio there. And then the next thing you need to do is, what is your trailing stop going to be? If it starts to go your way, right? So just say hypothetically, it starts to go your way. You can use maybe a trend line and say, as long as it's above this trend line, I'm going to stay in it. Some people use percentages. If it reverses by 2% or 3%, that's where I get out of it. Some people use dollars. If it reverses by $5, it doesn't matter. It's whatever fits you. And the good thing about the trailing stop is you could be wrong and still make money. So let's just say you bought it here and it started trending your way and it gets to about 180 and then it breaks the trend. And that's where you get out. Well, you were wrong because it didn't get up to 188, but you're going to walk away with some of your profit. And if it breaks the trend, there's a good chance it's going to start going down. So this allows you to get out with taking leaving some money on the table. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay. All right. Mark, really good stuff here. One of my favorite adages that I picked up from someone more experienced than me is your first stop is your best stop, right? So if you do plan your exit here and you plan a stop, if it starts going against you, adjusting it slightly down and down and down doesn't actually help you. Your first stop is your best stop. Stick to it.
Exactly. You gotta. It's the trouble. People have a hard time trading because we experience this emotion of fear,
Yeah.
and people fear taking losses. People fear losing money. From an evolutionary point of view, fear was probably a very good emotion to have, because if you were walking down the trail and a woolly mammoth came after you, you'd want to be able to run really fast and get your adrenaline going and so forth. In that situation, fear is probably good. But when it comes to losing money, fear is not good. And that's why people sell their winners too soon
Yep.
and they keep on their losers for too long. And I read a lot of history, and you could read books about trading that were published like in the 1800s. And they say the same thing then that they say now. Get rid of your losers quick and hold on to your winners long. And it's not as
Funny
easy
how
as it
that works,
sounds,
huh?
but that really is the key.
Funny how that works. And that's another really good point there. We make it sound easy when we just repeat these adages, but you're spot on, Mark. It's not easy. It's especially not easy when you're in the moment.
Yeah,
Okay.
you just got to ask yourself before you make a trade, say to yourself, why am I doing this? Am I doing it because I'm bored? Am I doing it because I'm afraid? So
You'd be
sounds pretty
surprised
simple,
how
but it
much
could be very
you'd be
effective.
surprised how much money that question can save you if you listen to
Exactly.
yourself. Okay, Mark, really good stuff here again. Appreciate it. I know it's been kind of a wild week here, but we appreciate all of the time that you give us here with all of the teachings, and we look forward to following up with you next week.
Okay.
I got crappy weather here, so if you hit the golf course, hit a few for me. All right.
Okay, I will do. All right. Thanks,
All
everyone.
right.
Have a good weekend.
That is Mark Petrino, folks. Check out his Substack. A lot of good stuff in there. We're going to keep bringing him on. We're going to keep working with Mark here. Really, really good stuff. Appreciate all of the participation there and everything else. But it's never a dull moment around here because Mark's departure, of course, leaves room for 13. We're going to check in with him right now. Happy Friday, 13. How you doing, my man?
I'm doing just fine. Much better than the market anyway. Looking forward to what we get today here. We know we were talking about maybe seeing some bullishness today after a massive sell-off, but that was yesterday before we had this news with China. I'm still thinking that we could see a bounce here, maybe even a gap fill. But let's see what the market gives us.
Market's right at that 15% pullback level. We've been waiting for 521. We got 521 here in the pre-market.
Yeah, it actually we went printed much lower than that. We went beneath the 15% correction.
517.
Level. Yeah. So that was a great.
Oh shoot, 516. I beg your pardon.
Yeah, 516. Just slightly beneath that. That's where we reversed. Great. This is beyond the level I was looking for correction, which is fine. This thing can go all the way down to 19.99% before we enter a bear market. So we still have some room down to go if that's the case. But I don't think that we're necessarily going to be continuing to go lower unless we start getting some headlines of other countries putting out tariffs. That could change this whole narrative. But it seems to me like with how oversold we are, that there would be some kind of a rebound today. Are we going to fill this gap all the way back up to where we closed yesterday? I don't know. But I'm not canceling. I'm not going to say that's impossible. So it's one thing I'm just going to be watching for, even if it is slightly unlikely. But I do think that how oversold we are is going to indicate that we're going to see some a little bit more upside today. We've got under 28 RSI this morning. We're recapturing it, but when we get under 28, that tends to be where the SPY tends to turn around. Last time we closed beneath 28 was in October of 2023. And I think you remember what happened there. We just took off since then.
Yep. All right. Really good stuff there. We can do whatever you want here. Real quick here, Twinkle Toe Energies.
Nice.
I gotta say that is a pretty sweet handle, Twinkle Toes. That is a pretty sweet handle. We got Ryan, then Mark, then 13, Anne Marie, and also Sandra? Question mark. Actually, programming note here today. We do not have Sandra here today. She's fine. She's just busy with her own life. So no Sandra here today. But Twinkle Toe, I don't want to say better, but I got something else for you in replacement. We're going to actually cut 5 minutes early from Anne Marie's segment, and we are going to go to Powell's conference. And I think all eyes are going to be on that conference speech. I probably used the wrong term. I'm sorry about that. But no Sandra here today. At 11:25, we're going to move over to Powell. And like I said, I'm pretty sure all eyes are going to be on that. In the meantime, though, we're going to try and have some fun. We're going to try and not panic. We're going to try and make sense of what's going on. Good to have you here, Twinkle Toes Energies. I love it. I absolutely love it.
Yep.
All right. Do you want to look at anything? Do you want to run through the movers list real quick? What do you want to do?
Yeah, movers list like yesterday. It's going to be a short list.
And then go back to ticker time, and we'll. Yeah, perfect. I like that. I actually, I think that's a good way to kind of do this going forward here. Okay. First one's going to be IBO. Someone was just asking about this, if I'm not mistaken, in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
Crocodile Dumb Me. I love it. You want to talk about great names here? Let's go. All right, IBO. This is Impact Biomedical. This did pop in the after hours yesterday and has actually produced a double top here in the pre-market today on some pretty nice volume. I don't see any. Oh, looks like it was nope. Don't see any fresh news here from the overnight session. Looks like this is just kind of a penny stock up on massive volume here. 9,000 shares held short. Boy, it doesn't even matter what the float is. There is no short interest here in this one. I do have a float reading, by the way, of 6.7 million. 13, what do you think here? Do you have levels on this?
I don't have levels, but I think the reason it's moving today is because yesterday after we closed, there was a Form 8 that was filed, and if you read that, you'll find that there is a debt conversion that was canceled, and that means that the company will not be diluting their shares some more. So I believe that is why this is going today. Because you're right, there is no other news, and this is the only thing that came up. And they had been talking about this late last month about how they were going to restructure their debt with this company. I believe it was DSS Incorporated. And DSS decided they are going to withdraw from the debt conversion agreement. So that means that this company shares don't get diluted. They don't get to manage their finances the way they wanted, and they do need cash. But I think this is a more positive than not, because you don't want to see a stock's shares get diluted.
You don't want. Sorry, you cut out there. You don't want to see stock shares what?
Get diluted.
Get diluted. Okay.
Yeah. So I think that's the reason why it's moving today.
Okay. Awesome. That's IBO, ticker IBO here. Next is going to be AREB. This one we should all recognize because we've traded this one before off the relative volume scanner. And in fact, this actually had a monster day on Wednesday on huge volume there. Really quickly, news there, American Rebel CEO Andy Ross to appear in South Florida television morning show program, NBC TV channel West Palm Beach. Okay, it ran on that, I guess. But yesterday morning, they had another PR here about inviting patriotic investors, fans, and beer enthusiasts to celebrate freedom with a new video release highlighting the American Rebel story. I bet that was fun. Nonetheless, here, stock's up 78%. That PR was yesterday morning, so we had all day yesterday to digest it, and there was nothing in the after-hour session, at least not here in my feed. Quick look around the horn here, 16.91% of the float shorted from the most recent read. That was from March 25th. And 1 day to cover there. That's going to be because the average volume here is 11.5 million, and the short interest is only 0.5 million. So we can so easily cover that up. Float here, this is one of the micro floats though, 598,000 shares in the float. So 13, what do you make? What's the outlook here? AREB.
This one I don't think was moving until just recently, in the past few minutes. So I didn't take a look at this one. That low float's going to help this move around. And I gotta ask, do we not have an update to the short interest? Because don't we usually get the receipt date about now?
The short interest is every 2 weeks. And so if we're looking at 304 to 318, I think we're expecting one any day now. I don't think we're late yet. Okay. I would look for one. I can check with the news desk. Do you want me to do that?
I'm only asking because I do see that the short interest is 16.9% in that in the short interest tab. But over here on the key data, it says that it's 76.29% of the float shorted. So I was wondering if there was an update that's making its way over to the key data, but not the short interest tab. And if that short interest is that high, then well, we could see this move a lot more.
No, the short interest tab would be the first thing to get updated. So no, I don't think that's the case. But in any case, I will say level above here at 8. We obviously stopped there on Wednesday when we ran here again. Didn't quite get there today, but I would absolutely say that that's an upside level here.
Okay, so yesterday's high was 845. We're not too far away from there. We did get up to 765, and we're trying to hold VWAP right now. This looks like it's just going through the motions of the consolidation you usually see, or the pulling back you usually see from bull pennants and bull flags. So just going to wait and see if this ends up trying to take the next leg higher. We might have to wait until the open, but first thing I'm going to want to see is if it does lose the VWAP, to not drift too far away, but also try to hold above VWAP as often as it can. Because I think that it is going to try and get up to that yesterday's high. How high it goes, I don't know. I'd have to take a look to the left some more and find some levels. But the early one that I'm going to be looking for is that 845 high from yesterday. If it goes
okay,
like that.
Okay, we'll see if we end up getting that. Good stuff there. Next, CXAI. This is CX app. Looks like we popped yesterday in the after hours, pared back some of the gains here in the pre-market, but we did have a pop here on volume. Looks like, let's see, yesterday, CXAI reports record business performance for 2024 and momentum of agentic AI based on the CXAI platform. That is what popped the stock here. Trading higher performance and a net revenue retention rate of 101%. So some good news there for CXAI. We are up 33.8% here, although we are off the highs. Quick peek at the short interest here, 8.1% of the float shorted with 3.32 days to cover. Float 14.5 million, 13. What do you think?
Yeah, so it's great that they have a revenue retention rate that high. They still do look like they need cash. They have about a quarter of it left. Float is 14.46 million shares, so still easy to move this one around, even though it's not going to be as easy as the Rebel company that has less than 1 million. Right now, take a look at here at the chart, because I don't have a whole lot beyond that, because companies, like I said, they need cash. So 144 is the high that they hit yesterday in the after hours. We can draw a trend line here since it's taking a bit of a staircase down. And once we do that trend line, we can see where we want this to break out of. Need to get back over VWAP. That's going to be, I have that at 110, 111. It's right about there. And if we get above that, I think this trend line gets taken out, and we try and print the 144 highs, maybe even higher again. Upon the breakout of this trend line, we are going to potentially see some resistance from about 123 to about 130. There's a little bit of consolidation in there. So that would be the only big resistance after breaking up this trend line that I could see this running into.
Okay. Really good stuff there. Let's see, BDRX.
Yeah, that's the bad one, I believe.
Okay, Biodecta Pharmaceuticals. That's funny. Back from no fresh news here on this one. Just again, kind of quick look around the horn. 9.29% of the float shorted with 1 day to cover there. Float here, micro float 668K. You think this is going to be a good one or a bad one today?
It's not really moving on any news. I mean, earlier this week, or I'm sorry, not this week, last month, they reiterated that they're on track to initiate phase 3 trial next quarter. So that they said that last month in March. We're now in the next quarter. So I don't think that we've received any news that they started or they initiated their phase 3. But that's definitely going to be one thing to watch for, because we are in the quarter when they said they were going to initiate it. So for the next however 80 many days left, 86 days that we have left in this quarter, keep an eye on BDRX. Maybe this pushes up higher on the news that they started their phase 3.
Okay.
But today I don't know what's moving on.
Didn't actually mean to do that. Double top up here at 234. That would be an important level if it can get up there. ICCT, iCore Connect. Looks like this is a continuation here from one that we've been trading for the past several days. Let's see, is there anything fresh here today?
We were looking for 7 in this one, and this got up to 627 yesterday. So if you look at the price action over the past 48 hours, you can see that we have held some of these higher prints that they made yesterday. We're going to want to see a break over 540. That seems to be, ever since we came back in from 627, 540 seems to be the big resistance area. You could even call it 550, 555, but I see a lot of common price action around the 540 to 545 area. So that's going to be the area I'm going to be focused on for a break when I look at this thing. It has come up once towards that area early this morning around 525 and again around 8. So if it continues to hammer that 540 area, we could see a break over that and maybe even run up to the 627 or higher.
Okay. Really good stuff there. Let me ask you, did you have anything else on your list there?
No, that was all the movers of note.
Okay. I did notice that the next set of other stocks here on this list are going to be those direction ETFs. So let's take some time here. Join Directions Expert as we explore the world of leverage and inverse ETFs designed to help traders and investors capitalize on market volatility. As 2025 brings new economic challenges and market fluctuations, these powerful tools could help you provide amplified returns or hedge against downturns. Let me give you the QR code so you folks can very easily sign up for that. There you go, right there on the screen. Okay, nice little plug there. Let's go back to the chart tool. Take a look at any of the charts that folks want to look at. You got anything you want to start with here, 13?
I mean, not particularly. This, I'm just kind of waiting for the market to let it punch itself out. And I already told you that I've started nibbling very, very lightly on some positions I want to own long term. So I've already started doing that. Not really, getting heavy into any buying. But what's Google at? Because I did have some limit orders for that may have filled.
Perfect. Actually, I think someone was bringing up Google in the chat earlier. Can't remember who it was, but here we go. Google just breaking below its 500-day moving average. This was the second test of it. We did end up breaking below here.
Yeah, I've been so between 150 and 155 is where I wanted to start picking this up, and I have very, very small amounts. Started adding at 155. I had limit orders for very small amounts at 150 and 145. So 150 looks like after we open, I might get that to trigger. 145. That's probably gonna. I don't know if we'll get down there again today, but I'm. I still like this long term. I think it's providing some pretty attractive pricing. This and some of the other Mag 7s. Some Mag 7s I don't think I want to touch right now, but I wouldn't mind adding on the way down Alphabet and Amazon, just in very, very small amounts, because I don't want to. I'm not looking to catch the bottom, but these are really attractive prices, so I'm just nibbling right now.
Yeah, and you're taking a long-term approach, right? So if it continues to move down more, you could even add more to that dollar cost average on the way down. Okay. Awesome. Have Mark on more often, says Brian. We'll try to do that, my man. We'll try to do that. You can also keep up with Mark by following his Substack. You can get his content all the time, or better yet, Benzinga Edge. Mark produces content for Benzinga Edge on a daily basis. It's one of our entry-level subscriptions. And in fact, let me see if I can get you a link for that. Oh, you know what? We've got it on the screen. QR code right at the top, boss. Okay. Good stuff there. What did I miss? Oh, Mesroor. Yes, you've been asking and you've been patient. That's the key. Not only did you ask, but you were also patient and nice about it. Hood. Let's take a look at Hood here. Hood down another 6.5% here, 35 handle. To me, just wait this one out. This is the exact same thing that I was at yesterday. The chart really looks to me like we're at minimum going to test the 200-day moving average, which is the blue line that you see on the chart. Value there is 33.02. We're at 35.78. to me, I am not a buyer of this until we test or peak beneath and recapture that 200-day right down there about 33. 13, am I wrong on that? You got another spot? You looking for anything else on this one?
Sorry, I didn't have it up on my screen. You're looking.
It's okay.
You're looking at what for a 200-day estimated support?
Yeah, I'm looking to see how this behaves around the 200-day, and if it shows that it's going to be supported by it, I would say that is a possible buy area.
You know, the price action over the past I guess 6 months looks kind of bearish. So if this loses 34 and comes down to test that 200-day SMA, I would really want to see this start coming back up and looking like it was going to get back above the 20-day SMA and the 50, because beneath the 34 we could see this go down further. It just looks like it could be a head and shoulders. I don't want to say that's exactly what it is, but it just looks bearish to me. It looks like if we lose the 200, we are going to probably end up going down to maybe 25.
Okay, a real quick sweet one saying, when is the next earnings? The next earnings here is confirmed for April 30th. So if you did not want to expose yourself to that binary event, you still have 26 days prior to that event. So maybe this does get a reflexive bounce there or goes down to 13's level. What'd you say, 26, 28? What was that again? Sorry. I got it.
I was looking at 25. That's
25. Okay, so the gap fill down here. Okay, cool.
Oh yeah, I didn't even notice that. I was just kind of looking at how those resistance previously back in 2024, and then when we broke out, it became support.
Okay, there you go. Hood. What else you folks got? Oh, Kex. What's Kex? AEX. Kirby Core. Is this like the really pushy vacuum sales company? Hang on a sec.
I don't know.
Kirby Core is a domestic tank barge operator. No, couldn't be any more wrong. Okay. Well, I thought this was the Kirby vacuum thing, and I was like, those folks that show up at your house and try to push you to buy a stupid vacuum cleaner?
Well, this just lost its 500 going into the open here. And
this is a rough looking chart.
Had a death cross back in January. Speaking of death crosses, I think the SPY is going to do that as well. Let's see. I think that maybe around 88, you might get support if this continues to go lower. I'm not saying that that's where it's going to reverse, but I think that's your next area of support. Maybe somewhere. I'd say somewhere between 88 and 90 would be the next area of support, especially with how much it's moved down. I'd have to think support is coming soon. RSI at just over 33. Mm-hmm. So going down to that area I just mentioned, that'll definitely get you into oversold territory. Once it starts to recover, keep an eye on that 50-day SMA. You can see that on the way down here, every attempt that it's been taking to get back up, the 50-day SMA has suppressed it. So on the recovery, the 50-day SMA would be the interesting SMA to watch.
Okay. Tank barge operator transporting bulk liquid products throughout 3 United States coasts. The company transports petrochemicals, liquid cargoes, inland waterway systems, and dry bulk cargoes.
But are these? You said liquid cargoes, so
correct.
Is this like
bulk liquid products?
So it can be considered like. So is it like oil though? Can it be? Okay. No, I'm just kind of wondering if this is like an energy tanker or not.
I don't think so. Oh, yes. No, excuse me. I just need to keep reading. Sorry, you asked such a good question. I couldn't read it fast enough here. And the distribution and service segment, which provides aftermarket service and genuine replacement parts for engines, transmissions, reduction gears, power generation equipment used in oil and gas. Okay, so maybe they don't transport oil and gas themselves. They just transport the components used for some of those.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't want to.
Yeah, I don't know, and I'm sorry. Here's the thing: what differs, and I'm sorry for butting in here, 13. But I think what differs about our show than other things on the internet or maybe even on TV, 13 and we are not afraid to tell you I don't know. If we don't know, we're going to say I don't know. I'm not going to make up like I know something, pretend to be an expert on something that I'm not. So, Ed, it's quite possible that you or anyone else comes up with a stock that I don't really look at, follow, or know much about. And in that case, you're probably going to get more I don't knows while we kind of dig through it and figure it out. I'm not afraid to say that. If I don't know something, I don't know something. That's not a negative, right? That's just another area for me to learn something.
Looking prior to the pandemic for KEX, it seems like we are coming down to some support area, but I still do like that 88 to 90 area a little bit better. Just pointing that out there. Seems like this may be not quite a double top, but if you look at a weekly chart, you kind of would see how one could think that we might be having a double top here. Still, the levels that I mentioned, I think that that's what I'd be looking at for support on the way down here, and then same thing with the way up, that 50-day SMA.
Okay. Real quick here. If oil tanks, people can drive to work. Twinkle Toes just out here today with the awesome comments. I will say I am enjoying gas prices being lower. It really does make me happy. Really, really great, especially if you just move back to a V8. Steve-O saying, do you see the SPY touching 475? So it's interesting that you bring this up. I'm going level by level, Steve-O. I'm going to try and take this tactically. I don't know if it's going to, just to kind of go back with our theme there, I don't know if it's going to touch 475. But I will say that a 40-year market veteran and private equity veteran who joins our happy hour on a regular basis, when we were asking for levels, he said his level is 480. That's only 5 points away from where you're talking about here. And that's 10 SPY points under the 20% pullback level. Here it is on the chart, right where my cursor is. So if we back out here again, I mean, look, this was basically the high from January on that first initial COVID rip, right? So January of 2021, that represents the high.
480 is the high, yeah. Because the actual printed high was 479.98 cents. Let's just round it up and call it 480.
Yeah. Jeff Bezos, now Spieth is 3-putting from 11 feet. Oh man, I saw he did really well. I was rooting for him. What a bummer. Okay. All right. What else do you folks want? How much time? 5 minutes?
To answer the question, if I see it hitting 480, I mean, I don't want to say it's not.
To be technical, his question was 475, but I brought in the 480 example.
Yeah, I mean, I won't say it's not possible. I don't want to say that. It certainly is. It doesn't seem likely at this stage, but as more tariff news and countries retaliate, it may start to appear more and more likely. For now, I'm not going to say yes or no. I just want to wait for some more things to happen. But it's definitely something that could happen. I'll give you that much.
Okay. Steve-O saying, I wasn't guessing. I kind of calculated. Yeah, I didn't think you were guessing. I don't think I said that, did I? Nonetheless, how did you calculate it? Just out of curiosity. But yeah, looks like maybe it can. We'll see. I'm going to go level by level and see how things change. Okay. Amazon. Yassine wants to take a look at Amazon. Here is your AMZN. Did we actually touch that 500-day? The candle says that we did. 164 in the pre-market there. 168.45 is, in fact, going to be your 500-day moving average. Let's see what we do. Let's see if we actually hold this. You want to talk about gap here. This is one of the charts that Mark was just talking about. This is oversold. This is on support. This is gappy above. This is gappy up to 200, frankly. So this is actually not a terrible bounce play. Izzy, where are you at?
RSI is very low.
Oh, Izzy doesn't like this.
Well, because it's still very much subject to the China tariff pressures.
Yeah, I think that this actually might have a reflexive bounce here. 13, did you want to go over to levels? I'm going to use the facility again real quick.
Oh, go ahead. So, the 500-day SMA, that's at, I have that at 168.45. We're trading beneath it right now. So with how big of a move down, it's going to be similar to the SPY. I would expect there to be some kind of reflexive bounce. I don't know that we're going to gap fill. That'd be a lot of movement, but it's possible. It's possible to get back up to the what is this? The mid 170s to mid to high 170s. Is that what it is? Or did I move that? Oh, I'm right. It's a high 170. So that's a possibility. But we do have another possibility happening that's more bearish. We do have the 50-day SMA coming down to the 200. Another possible death cross happening here. We almost had one back in October last year. It didn't happen because we just went on another rip. But this time we're coming back in. We may even come back down to where we bottomed in August before we get some support. And that print was down to 161.02 is where we closed. The low was actually 151.61. So maybe 150 could be a spot where this ends up going. But for how oversold this is right now, I think that there'd be a short-term bounce. Maybe we end up going lower next week. I could totally see that happening. But this movement we've been having this week, I think it's really oversold. We should see some kind of a recovery here, a little bit of a bounce.
Okay. Sweet. We are about to open here. I'm going to flip back over to the main workspace. Let's have a great Friday.
Yeah, graph that China did retaliate with 34% tariffs. Those don't take effect. Some of them don't take effect until next week, but they could impose more. Here we are.
Bingo, there is your opening bell.
All right, out of the gate, looks like MLGO had some fun this morning, going up to 19.
I got some poll results for you. The question was simple today. Is anyone buying stocks at the moment? 48% of you said no. 45% of you said yes. 6% of you said dividend stocks.
Perfect. That's why we have a market.
That is such a great poll with such a great distribution. I don't even know if we could have planned that any better, producer. Let's go. Let's go.
AREB pulling out of the gate. It had a run up into the open, so it's coming down to VWAP.
NEE, Next Era Energy, this popping again. This actually was strong yesterday. Looks like it's strong again here today. Here's your AREB.
Yeah, I went down to VWAP, got some support. Not sure about what that one's going to do. iBio to lose $1.
AREB, we're right at the $8 level right here.
And looks like BDRX had some movement out of the open here, but it's not able to get above VWAP. And looks like in the pre-market here, BDRX had a couple of instances where it tried to get up over 235. 233 was the high earlier in the market, that followed by 231 high. If this pops up to 231, we're probably going to end up having a triple top.
Okay.
Be careful with that one. Alternatively, it could be an ascending triangle, but we'll have to see what kind of price action we get if it gets over the VWAP at all.
Okay, sounds good. Real quickly here, I highlighted something earlier. I was mentioning is plugging BZ Edge as a way to get more Petrino content. By the way, you can also get Tim Melvin content in there. Yaz, you had said, I love BZ Edge. Yaz, let me know. You want to do a testimonial for us? Let me know. I would love to do that. If anyone else wants to do that, please let me know. I'm going to give you my email. Just shoot me an email, and we will get that arranged here.
Well, there goes ICCT. Some folks were jumping on it. Looks like it wants to go for that 627 high from yesterday. This may be the day where it hits 7, folks. This may be the day. CXAI dropped to its 200, and then its 200 EMA, on the 5-minute, and now it's trying to come back up and break that trend line that we were looking at.
Intel is trying to pop here after moving lower in the pre-market. See if Intel can get back to any of the levels it was at yesterday. Palantir here, trying to hold on to that 80 level. Still waiting out 60 on Palantir. This is actually right on the trend line that we have identified. Going back to January.
AREB, that's halted to the downside. It just knifed. It was looking like it was a little weak. Got some weakness, pulled right through the VWAP. IBO pulling as well, but this is not halted. I thought AREB was halted. It looked like it was. It doesn't show that it's halted for me. Does it show that it's halted for you?
No. Well, the signals doesn't. Let me see if it actually is. So you know what I think's happening here?
What's that?
Yeah. So looking at my broker, I think it's halted. Here's what I think is going on. Right around the open, we're 3 minutes from the open. I think that this halt signal takes a sec to catch up because so much data is being transferred. from the previous day, right? Like new highs, all of that stuff. So I suspect that's what's going on here. Yes, 13 to confirm this is halted.
Okay. CXAI, it's coming up to that trend line, testing it for a break. If it doesn't break it here, probably will sell off and gear up to try to take it out later. ICCT is halted. I do see that at least. But this one, I mean, like I was just saying a moment ago, this could be the day where we see 7 in ICCT. Just be careful with this one. So as soon as we hit 7, we could see a quick pull.
Looks like we are seeing a pull here. SMCI lower, Hood pulling. That's new lows here from the pre-market on Hood. Tesla's trying to bounce. Take a look. I saw here's Snapchat. Who cares about Snapchat?
Hood was looking bearish.
Coin, remember Hood 33. We're looking for that 200-day. Coin, this is pulling too. How's Bitcoin doing? Bitcoin also pulling off of the. Okay, so it bounced earlier this morning off 82K, about up to 84, but it's come back in a little bit.
Okay, so it's still above 80. All right. Okay, iBio, that's back above VWAP. That might be trying to go higher. AREB still halted. NEE, that came back in. ICCT, we might have, this might be unhalted pretty soon. I believe this first one is only 5 minutes, right? CXAI still trying to push over that trend line. Looking like it is trying to get going here.
Here, let me add that trend line here to this window as well.
Sure.
That was good. That was a good call.
Yeah, there you go. That's what I'm looking at. So if this gets going, earlier I mentioned that this seems to have some consolidation, that it could keep this from shooting up too quick. That's going to be about 122 to 130. So could see some resistance in that area on its way up.
Boom.
But it's looking good. We're getting a nice break over this.
Let's take a look at Amazon. We were talking about that being a potential bounce candidate. Amazon first print here up out of the gate, still down 5.5% here though. Amazon.
SCFU, nice, and line atlas, well done.
There you go. TLT, that one's working here.
CXAI popped up to about the middle of that consolidation, and then it came back in. So
AREB is open.
All right. Going lower. iBio under $1 now. ICCT, that's unhalted and went up to 605.
Okay.
What are you going to do for us, ICCT? Are you going to take it higher, or are you going to cool off after this impulse move? Not in that one. AREB lower. CXAI going back up into that consolidation area. We break through that. I think we see 144. What's BDRX doing? BDRX still not able to get above VWAP. That's been the case for this pretty much all pre-market. It has these pops above VWAP. It's not up there for too long, comes right back underneath it and consolidates. I'd expect more of that today, if not lower. All right, ICCT, here we go. 647, now the high. So took out yesterday's high. Gonna go into a halt, it looks like, maybe. No, it did not halt. So we're just 53 cents away from 7 in ICCT.
IBIO, or excuse me, I did it already. God, that didn't take long. IBO pulling here off that double top from the pre-market. AREB is pulled back. This actually has a downside halt risk if that continues here at all. SPY's continuing to roll over. We're below 521 now, 520 and change.
663 is the high in ICCT. These other movers are doing a whole lot of, well, there's CXAI with a print of 130. So it did run into the top of that consolidation and come back in. Still needs a little bit more time to work through it, but it's looking pretty good. Just need to get through 130 and we should see that print of 140 or higher. Now for ICCT.
John asking, will brokerages halt buying? No, of course not. They want as many fees and transactions as they can.
All right, ICCT printing higher highs here. Looks like this is about to really take off here. Look at this concentration in the bids at 684.
Let me bring it up in my level 2 here.
I think out of this halt, we might
halt
see that.
Here, yeah.
I think out of this halt, we'll probably see that 7 print. There we go.
Whoa, what was that?
That was my hand.
Oh, that was so
desk.
loud, dude. That is so loud through the microphone. Oh my God.
I will not do that again.
And actually now your microphone sounds quieter. I wonder if there was some auto leveling or something there.
Yeah, doing restream things maybe.
Dollar General, green in a sea of red. Look at this.
Tasty.
More calls getting bought there on Dollar General. These are the hundreds that expire in May. And actually, I don't think that's the May monthly contract. Give me a sec. It is not. It's actually the first week of May. 28 days to expiry on those calls.
So they're looking at the October 2023 low and going, that's a pretty interesting area to take profit. So I don't think that they seem too bullish on a gap fill, but I do see it seems like they are thinking that this maybe hits that former support area.
Arab still pulling back in here. Anne Marie, good morning. Happy Friday, Anne Marie. Advancers to decliners deeply negative, minus 2264. And actually, if you looked at the chart, it looks like it wants to kind of dip and go lower there. Advancers to decliners. Yeah, Born. Shoot. There we go. Born here mentioning DG, Dollar General has a huge gap to fill at that level. If you take a look at it, here is that gap. So, Born, this was the one thing that I did not do correctly on this trade. I absolutely murdered this trade. However, when we moved up through that 200-day, it's not on this chart. Let me go to a different chart here. When we moved up to that 200-day, I should have the trailer that I had, because of the gap, should have sold and rolled into a higher strike. The perfect one would have been the 100 in the same month, because it was May. I had plenty of time for that. So now in hindsight here, despite making money, my thought of, well, how could I have traded this better? That's what I would have done. The second portion there would have sold and rolled into a higher strike, maintained exposure, booked gains, and locked in even more profit. And then I'd still be enjoying the appreciation here from this move.
Ryan,
yeah.
Are you able to look at a price ladder for ICCT?
Yeah.
Tell me what you see at 705 on the bid side.
Nothing.
You see nothing at 705?
I see nothing at 705. I've got a bid for 300 shares at 690 on the bid side.
Okay.
Which is up out of the halt. And I also, by the way, so I have a bid. I'm showing a bid above the halt price at 690, and I'm showing an offer for sale below the price at 681. The offer there at 690 disappeared.
Every single all the asking prices that I see, everything. There's this one concentration of a bid at 705 for 187,000 shares, and it looks like it could swallow up every single asking price there is. I think this, when we unhalt, it may just rip right to 705 if this bidder stays there.
Okay. Market Sniper seeing, I see 1.2 million, right? That's what that number is, 1.2 million. Christoph. Yeah, so here's the thing. My Thinkorswim price ladder, when stocks are halted, they never really display that as well as they should.
He sees the same thing, 187K.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that.
Oh, okay, it was you mistyped it. Thank you, Market Sniper. Got it.
I fat finger things all the time too. I got you.
Lauren is asking, why is coin trading down? Well, Bitcoin is trading down. Bitcoin was actually higher here today. That moved down. We did have a data print here today. Excuse me. U.S. unemployment rate for March was 4.2 versus the 4.1 estimate. The prior read was 4.1. And the U.S. private non-farm payrolls for March, 209,000 versus the 127,000 estimate. Prior read was 116. That's also affecting your market here today.
IBO recaptured $1, trying to trade higher. We do have that resistance from the pre-market still around that 115 to 118 area. That's where it was topping out at. So that's going to be the big resistance area to break if we're going to print higher.
Good morning, Emery. Baby's out with the bathwater. So we the two big Wall Street analogies there: throwing the baby out with the bathwater, and a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. It'll never not make me smile. You're right, though, Anne Marie. What do you think here today? I guess I could just ask. You know what? I could just ask you when you come on. What a silly question.
Yeah, field that question later, sir.
Will do.
Wow. Thanks, Quantum Vortex. Tesla under 250 now. All right. That looks like it was trying to recover as well. That looked like a little bullish there when it was,
yeah, it sure did. It
around.
actually looked like it was trying to trade up out of the open there.
Mm-hmm. Looks like AREB is getting ready to go lower. Seems like it's concentrating into a bear pennant. So thinking we may see this go down to around under 530. Just not exactly sure where it lands, but it looks like it's going on 530. All right, ICCT open. Didn't get that pop up to 705, but it's still hanging up here. It looks like it's getting ready to pop. Just watching ICCT for that move to 7.
Yes,
I mean, it really wants it. Yeah, they did. Looks like they did remove the bid, but it doesn't matter because there's 7. There's 706. Hey, there it is, folks. So I don't know where ICCT goes from here. 7 was what I was looking for. You folks do what you will with ICCT. I'm sure a lot of you are making a lot of good money with this one. I saw folks in there with they're picking it up and just before we opened. Great job on your trade. This thing is just tearing now. 725 is the high. 727. Goodbye, ICCT. We'll see you on Mars. Meanwhile, it looks like the SQQQ was going higher, but it seems to have reversed. Is the market turning around?
Sorry, I'm handling a report here real quick.
No worries. Looks like the SPY did trade down to just underneath the 15% correction level, and now it's recapturing it.
Okay.
Cero moving on FDA clearance, question mark? Let's see.
CERO?
Yep. So this is the one that delayed its yearly report filing. We have news in the after hours.
That news was from Monday.
Yeah, I'm just going through the most recent news feed. There's a schedule 14A. There's a letter here. Notice an annual meeting of stockholders. So there might be something in there that's driving it because I don't see any other news. I'd have to read through this. And
VIX, by the way, came in from the 45 pre-market high, tried to retake 40 and was rejected. Now currently at 37.82. So already seeing a VIX 40 rejection here today. Amazon continuing to trade higher. Where's Izzy?
ICCT hit its 200 EMA on the daily chart. So we could see some polling on this because that was a kind of a stupid level. If you been here long enough, you know what that means.
That's the one. That's the one that often gets hit and makes mad bank for everyone.
Well, they don't always.
Stupid level. No, I know. I'm trying. I'm joking around. I know you're trying to be serious here, but
yeah, because I like I said, I don't know where this goes from here. I could, draw on some other levels. Like I could see 9 being a possibility. I could see, I could see a lot of levels being a possibility. I don't know how much more this has in it because I don't even know if this is really justifiable because this is what started moving on some piece of news and it just continues to rip. I don't think this is I don't think the news justifies this kind of movement.
Google continuing to trade up here. Izzy, looks like you're on this instead of Amazon. Picked a good one here. Google continuing to trade higher here.
Perfect.
Freeport calls getting bought into this move down here. Freeport at 30. Wow, what a move down that was. So glad I sold those calls.
Yeah, Lion, those are the two Mag 7s that I've been adding on the way down here is Amazon and Google. Those are the two I like the most. STF, you're saying that 764 is the halt line. We printed 761, so you're not too far away. Now we're losing 7. So that EMA, that 7 level. I mean, I think we were pretty good on where we wanted to take profit. But like I said, this could still rip. I don't know where this is going to go, but for the purposes of the trade and making money, we were just looking at 7 as being a profit-taking area.
Big B's here. This is a pretty good piece of information. You don't have to trade this volatility. Keep your dry powder ready for the real bounce. The easy money is on its way.
Yeah.
Just may not be today. Spend what you would have lost by taking yourself out to eat. Something good. That actually doesn't sound bad. And I agree. I don't think the big move is happening here. And I think that saving your dry powder for that is actually really smart. That's good stuff there. Big B's.
Gary, thanks for the thanks for tracking that on my stupid level announcements. I didn't know anybody was, but that's not a bad win rate.
Oh my God, really?
If that, I don't know. I mean, I think he's joking, but if it's but who's really counting? But if he is, and I'm 85% on the stupid level calls, maybe I should pay attention to more of those stupid levels. Here we are with ICCT coming back up to that or close to that 760 area. Like I said, I don't know where this goes. Anyone think Trump sends out a crazy tweet over the weekend based on the Chinese reverse tariffs? I wouldn't be surprised if we saw something today.
Yeah, I that wouldn't shock me at all. I don't think this whole thing is done.
Yeah, Lion, I think there's going to be a point where folks will realize what kind of opportunity is being presented. And I think, that was one of the things I saw immediately when COVID happened was when we were getting that that drop in March and February. I was like, oh, this is going to be a great opportunity. I think we need to, there's some things that we just need to kind of wait out a little bit. I don't think that we're done with the drops yet, but it does have me nibbling very lightly.
Okay, real quick here. So SQQQ, I know it's not Monday when we have Matt Money Maley on, but here are some prints from closing trades from today. SQQQ, it looks like he was selling at 600, 900, and 1,400% gain. So I know that red arrows freak a lot of people out. A lot of people think the world is ending and that the United States is ending and the market is ending. And while that is absolutely not the case, there are ways that you can really kind of capitalize on this crazy volatility. And Matt Maley is doing one hell of a job right now. Link in the chat there, 7-day trial. This is a new thing that we're offering for his service. And I think that now might be the time to take advantage of that. Link in the chat there for anyone interested in printing with Matt Money Maley. Anyway, had to plug that. Sorry, he's just raking in money here this morning, so apologize. But here we go. ICCT continuing to move higher here.
Is it making higher prints or no? It's still not able
it's
to
moving
get
back
that.
Towards the highs. Not a new high yet, though. No, sorry.
Yeah.
AREB is trying to bounce. We'll see if it's got that.
Oh, is it bouncing? Let's see here. Yeah, it's trying to turn around. Still needs to get back above VWAP, but volume's not bad, so there's good. iBio, on the other hand, this thing is trickling lower.
Dell continuing to move lower.
Maybe it finds some support around 80 cents. That's about where this low was from earlier in the pre-market, about 7:30. It's also where the 200 EMA is on the 5-minute. So 80 cents, that might be an area of, worth watching for IBO. So ICCT still not breaching 761. Really proud of everybody that nailed that trade. That was great.
Anyone trading GME today? I look, I had to. So I had to. GME actually up 1.82% here today.
All right, so it looks like this.
Conagra Brands, did they have earnings? Yeah.
Oh yeah. By the way,
Yeah.
those of you that are mentioning like Mondelez and Pepsi and General Mills, I think those are great. Those are going to be some of the defensive names that folks will rotate into when we have situations like this. Impending recessions. Those are good ones. I like all those. I'm actually in Pepsi. I think we were getting asked about UPS earlier. I'm sorry if I didn't get to that, but UPS, this is under $100 now, continuing to get hammered by the tariffs. Still like it long term. The dividend yield gets more and more attractive, but still hasn't found a bottom apparently. Good morning, Mike.
Morning, Mike. Great to see you. Happy Friday. Happy Friday to everybody else out there as well.
Mm-hmm. Now, I don't like the way ICCT is printing these upper shadows. These are indications that this could roll over here. So if this 5-minute candle that we're trading in right now, it doesn't break that 761, I think we may end up testing VWAP or going beneath it. All right, so BIO. I did it again. IBO. See, I did the same thing you did. And iBio, that's the one I wanted to say, but I'm supposed to be saying IBO. These tickers, man. Why can't they just be easy?
Back out your tongue, dude. Back out your tongue sometimes.
Why can't they just be easy like WTF? And yes, Buffalo by Bicycle Coke is also a good one. That was a great investment for me. I picked that up in 2023 and I sold it last year. It's a good one. All right. A Pepsi party at the VP's house? That must have been great. Meta looking attractive. Best at 475. Has it really gone that low? There's no way. Wow. This has really come down, hasn't it?
Oh, you said Meta. I thought you said Reddit there.
No, but we can look at that one too. So, oh man, that was a huge move to my 520 level. That just in the pre-market, it just destroyed it. So as we come trading back up, 520 is going to be a resistance level to watch for. We could have a hard time getting back above 520.
I'll tell you what, depending on where this thing bottoms, this thing is also gappy on the way back up. Meta.
Yeah.
Very similar to the Amazon chart that we looked at. Amazon's still trying to trade higher here.
ICCT about to move? Maybe. I don't like those upper shadows from the previous 2 5-minute candles. And I was saying earlier, this candle that we were in right now has to be the one to break 761, or I think we go back under VWAP. Google Green? Hell yes.
Was that your Macho Man Randy Savage? Hell yeah, brother. Is that what you were trying to do right there? Okay.
No. If you want me to do that, it'll cost you extra.
That'll cost extra. Take that. Take that.
ICCT getting pitched into doji hell. Kind of. I mean, this one right now is a bit of a doji, this current 5-minute candle. Oil getting smacked. That's great for the world economy.
Yes, it is.
And that's fine because I've been holding off on picking up more XLE because I've been looking for some moves down in the broader oil sector. So this is great. I hope we go under 75. That'd be great.
Sonny wants to take a look at Micron.
All right.
Micron just huge break lower here. Next area I have in here is probably 56, 57. Probably not what you wanted to hear. Yeah, I would say 54 to excuse me. Maybe we're getting some springtime in here. The allergies are killing me. Let's see, 52 to maybe 56 in here. Really, the 58 is consolidation area back in here from 2022.
I have two levels to the downside for Micron. You're not going to like them. 65, 67, which we're not too far away from. I have that. I think that was from October 2021 lows. So that's where I drew that from. And ever since then, it's been a pretty strong support and resistance area. Beneath that, I have 48, 45.
I don't know if you folks remember Anne-Marie here saying monster break there looks awful. Indeed, it does. Yeah. Look at this. I don't know if you folks remember, but this had to be about a month ago now, maybe even a little bit more. We had Paul Meeks on to talk about Micron's earnings report. Actually, I guess I could just look at the calendar and figure out when that earnings report was. Right. Next one here is going to be the last one was March 20th. It was the one before that. It was December 18th. It was in December. It was around there. We asked Paul Meeks about that, and he was very, very cautious on this going forward. Said he didn't really like this, wanted to kind of stay away from it, likes the company, but wanted to stay away from it at the time. Boy, hopefully that saved some people.
Yeah, so I would be looking at those two levels, 65, 67 cents, $65.67. That's one level. The one beneath it, $48.45. Those are the two levels I have to the downside. And you'll see that in between those two levels, there's quite a bit of consolidation. So you could have a lot of bouncing around in between those two levels.
VIX continuing to melt. It is down 10 points from its pre-market high. Put in a 45.50 print, 38. Okay, just ticked above 36.
AREB recaptured VWAP, and it is halted to the upside. And yeah, Lion, I own DG. Haven't been shy about saying that. Mm-hmm. Waste management, I own through an ETF. I own the IDU. It's a utilities ETF. This one, as opposed to the XLU, has waste management and a couple of other companies in it that I wanted for the trash side of human beings.
ICCT continuing to move through the highs. Remember, this move here today takes us through the 200-day. A close above that would be pretty bullish. We'll see if it can hold on.
ICCT is still having a time trying to get back to those highs. And I see that we did come back down to the VWAP after those upper shadows. So almost correctly.
Yeah, I did not quite have it coming down to the VWAP, but I know we have them different or slightly different values. It did come towards it and then ripped to the high.
But it's still same thing. These upper shadows here, just not a great look for a stock that you want to trade to go higher.
SPY trying to hold on to that 521 level. Mike saying, what time does Powell mumble? Powell's going to do that at 11:25 Eastern, Mike. And bonus, we're actually going to send you there. We're going to host it right here. I'm going to send you to that as soon as this is done.
All right. So AREB still halted. That's going to be a little bit of a longer halt because we had the halts to the downside out of the open. Not sure about AREB, but it's, out of this halt, it could pop up to the highs it made in the pre-market, which was I have 836.
James here saying Powell's at 1025. Did my producer lie to me?
I thought it was 1125.
Yeah, my producer, I don't know. Producer, let me know if you were a liar or not today.
Well,
because I can probably pull it.
Yeah,
I probably have a conversation here with screenshots.
Fed's Chair Powell speaks 11:25 a.m. according to the economic calendar.
Izzy thinks that Powell's going to come out. Actually, Trump's going to come out with Powell in a headlock,
giving him noogies.
Giving him noogies. That's the first thing I thought of. Oh, I'm sorry for laughing at that. Good stuff there, Izzy.
All right. Yeah, it's 11:25.
It's 11:25. Okay.
ICCT volume moving to Reshape Life Sciences.
By the way, producer, I'm sorry about that. Sorry about that. Britt, Ryan, that was the funniest thing you've ever said. Which one? I just lol. Hey, if you're laughing on a day where the Dow's down over 1,000 points again, then I'm doing something right here. That's good.
Check out the monthly view on your charts. Yeah, it's a pretty big red candle on a lot of them, huh?
Yeah, it is.
All right, so CXAI, that thing kind of trading around the lows. ICCT still above VWAP, but not liking these upper shadows. Don't know if we're seeing volume move from ICCT to Reshape Life Sciences. Reshape RSLS, that's up to 52 cents as the high right now. Above VWAP, but also spray. Looks like TIBC, when we were trading earlier this week, had a pop up to 570. It's since come back into the VWAP. He was set to UTC 5.
It's okay, by the way, James. My goal was not to make an example of that. I'm sorry. I was more trying to make a joke here with the producer, but nonetheless, all good. We got to the bottom of that pretty quickly here. ICCT, by the way, rolling over. I'd watch the VWAP there, and my broker, I've got that VWAP at 630 ICCT.
All right, SPY. What's going on here?
623 in trading view.
I'm seeing that SPY, has been consolidating down here in the low 520s.
Yeah, it has.
Not quite we saw the whole day ahead of us, but not so far, not the price action I was looking for. And this kind of looks like it may end up going lower, but still think that we should see some better movement to the upside, especially after the sell-off that we've just had. Just a quick rebound. AREB is open. That's going higher. Looking at the pre-market highs, it's about to halt again. It looks like it's going to halt at about 823. Pre-market high was 836. Yeah, Jay Rice, that's what I'm saying. XO lead down quite a bit. Oh, it looks like AREB is not going to halt. It just took out that high. Now we're at 872. Reshape pushed up to 55 cents, holding a little bit. CXAI got support from the 200 EMA on the 5-minute again.
Sorry, 13. Thanks for carrying it there.
No
Okay.
worries. No worries at all. So it looks like SPY is about to break lower. It's actually trading beneath the 15% correction level. That level is 521 and 25 cents. So
We're at 520, just broke 521.
Yeah. So every time that you see the price underneath that print there, you know that we're underneath 15% from the high, or over 50% off from the high.
SOXS, this actually looking like this is trying to break higher here. That's again one of those direction ETFs.
Well done, Lion.
Well done, Izzy.
Yeah, it is. Oh, perfect. Take care, Lion. Have a good weekend. Anybody else that's taking the rest of the day off? Enjoy your weekend as well. You guys are great this week.
Yeah, not yet. We got more to do. Like I was saying to Mark earlier, though, crappy golf weather here, so I don't know if we'll be able to do that. App. Remember, they made a bid for TikTok. App getting slammed here. 224, down 14% here on App. More puts getting bought on that, by the way. Apple, more puts getting bought into that move higher, or that attempted curl move out of the open.
Yeah, I still don't like the chart for App. And here we are down to the 200. Not surprised by that. Probably wouldn't be surprising to me either if we lost the 200 next week or today. Still think we got down. I'm telling you, that clear bear flag just did not look great, and now it looks like we're going to gap fill to the downside. No guarantee, but that's just what it looks like. Especially if we lose that 200, we're gap filling.
Producer missed the entire joke. Izzy, we're going to miss you next week, but enjoy getting kissed by the sun down there in Punta Cana.
Take care, Izzy.
Yeah, have some fun for the rest of us. if you wouldn't mind. You know, if I could ask you a personal favor, Izzy, do me a favor. Get one of those really tropical drinks that has one of the pieces of fruit and then the little umbrella in the top. I would appreciate that. If you could drink one of those for me, I'd be a happy camper.
Arab ripping, 919 now. Meanwhile, ICCT coming in. So I think that question of if the ICCT volume is leaving to go to reshape, that might be true. Looks like it's going to reshape and Arab.
I'm seeing better moves in the junk names than I am in the good names here today.
Yeah,
and I don't know if I prefer that.
Well, it's I think it's because a lot of these traders realizing that these larger names are not going to go their way and they can't do anything about it because they can't move it, but they can move these.
Right.
They can move these for sure.
Tuna, beautiful sunny weather here in south of France. I live not far from a golf course. Tuna, I will try to make it out there at some point, but it's not close on the docket here. It's not close.
Yeah, that's a good idea, Fairchild. Post a pic of that in the happy hour chat, Izzy.
If Izzy, well, he's not a pro. He's not in pro. I don't believe he's in pro. But if he sends it to me, I'll post it for him.
Yeah, we'd love to.
I'll post it for him. Look, it's never a bad time to have drinks with umbrellas in them. I feel like that's a celebration of vacation.
When I go to Hawaii, I always make sure to have Mai Tais out of pineapples.
There we go. Have it out of the actual fruit itself.
Out of the actual pineapple, yeah.
I'm allergic to pineapple, so I can't enjoy that one. But I like the idea. I like where your thoughts at. I like where your head's at.
I'm very sorry to hear that pineapple isn't.
I'm not. It is a vile weed, so no big deal. So I don't know what to tell you. I think it's gross. The texture's gross. The flavor's gross. It's all gross. The fact that people put it on pizza is like.
No, I'm with you on that.
Blasphemous to me.
I'm with you on that. That doesn't make any sense. Chat, press one if you like pineapple on pizza, so we know who you are.
Oh, look, someone else's opinion isn't bad. That's I'm just saying for myself.
Oh man. Arab, so hey, we're all rebels here, I guess. We're printing over. Well, you just lost 9. We are ripping here with Arab. Hellcat's
got it. Pineapple is the devil's fruit. Mike might not be friends with me anymore. That's what I. Okay.
Pineapple tariff.
Okay. God, our group is so good. You guys are so awesome, guys and gals. I beg your pardon.
ICCT still getting support from VWAP. It did recapture it. Keep an eye on it. Might make another move here. -1.
Wisdom's done. Oh God.
Omelet and potatoes on pizza. Man, you have a wild breakfast there, smoked tuna. Anyway, this market needs us.
Does it just let it come in? Okay, so ICCT did come into that VWAP and bounced. Finally, it actually tested it and bounced.
Yeah, reshape pushing higher into the 60-cent range.
Ryan wants to know how the resistance levels are on NASDAQ here. NASDAQ has really been unable to get above the 440 pre-market high. I guess that was actually 440 and a half. Here, let me go to the date. Clicking on the wrong things here. Come on, Ryan, wake up. Let me go to the bigger chart tool here for the Qs. Here we are. We are right at close to that 20% pullback level. So here's the other level that we were looking for here, Ryan. 432 and a half. That is going to represent the 500-day moving average and a 20% pullback from the all-time highs. We are 2 points away from that, 1.5 points away from that.
RSI on the Qs is 26.6. That's exceedingly low. We are going to need to see a bounce here pretty soon. Also, we're death crossing in the Qs.
Okay.
That'll be happening pretty soon.
Yep.
Arab with a big pull. It might halt here. But yeah, I don't know if we'll see it next week. We might. But it's going to happen this month. We're death crossing in the Qs.
Mike here saying, other than commodities, we are waiting on Powell. Marco's always waiting on something. 518 now in the SPY as that continues to push to the lows. 508 is your 500-day moving average there for SPY.
I've had one trade today, and I'm not unhappy about that.
Neither am I. I've had 0 again, and I'm not unhappy about that. I have had some controversial opinions on pineapple, though, apparently.
Yeah, it's okay though. I won't serve any if you come out here. Besides,
Okay, good.
we like pepper out here anyway.
Now peppers. Now we're talking. I like any kinds of pepper. Anytime. Any kind. Tesla might be trying to push for some new lows there. 246 looks to be the pre-market low.
Reshape also still pushing up, looking for 70 cents.
There you go. That might be a dollar holla here today. Yeah, actually, so where are we thinking? Maybe 85 to 90, but that dollar area seems to be the next really big spot there.
How do we feel about VVPR? Vivo Power. The daily chart looks kind of interesting. Looking about to get a golden cross. That's going to happen next week. Don't know what this company's about.
Solar power. So here's the thing with what's going on right now and the very, very clear goal of trying to drive interest rates down. Britt, this isn't bad. Solar should actually be pretty good if interest rates are lower. And you could that's clearly what's trying to be done here. So you could make the argument here that this would be better if interest rates were lower.
This is the one that's getting a takeover.
Non-binding takeover offer.
Yeah. So that takeover offer went up from 120 to 180. That happened back in the last Thursday of March. Let's see here. They provided an update yesterday. I'm sorry. No, Wednesday. They provided an update on that Wednesday. So maybe it's just moving off that news a little late, but I don't know why it's going today. That'd be the only reason. But that's all I think. And this is getting taken over. I don't know that I'd have to do some math. Ugh. So I don't know if I would be taking a stake in this just for the takeover. You missed, and it was just earlier this year, wasn't it? It's just earlier this year.
Yeah. The huge rip post-election too. Oh yeah.
Let's see, where's Tesla at? So 246. Let's see here. What does the chart look like today? Bearish, I assume. Okay, so we're back to testing the 500-day SMA again, almost down there. I have that at 243.94. We'll just call it 244. I don't know what to make of this right now. Maybe we see a bounce, but I have levels if it doesn't. If we go underneath the 500-day SMA, I've got 232 and 226 as levels that, we did get some support from on its way down here last time. So those would be the levels I'd be watching for if it comes down again. Attempting to bankrupt the country to lower interest rates is low. That's the plan, though. But
I don't think he's attempting to bankrupt the country.
Yeah, he's not trying to
explain to me. I respect the opinion, but explain to me how he benefits from the country being bankrupt.
Yeah, he's just trying to hammer the economy down so the Fed will cut rates.
SOXS still continuing. So we did get above that 44 level. 45, 44.50 looks to be the next one.
Oh, STFU. Maybe we should.
Hey, look, you want to talk about internet debates? The pineapple on pizza one.
Yeah.
It is a big one. There are fervent people on both sides of that one.
It's almost the.
And the other thing here about the pineapple thing, I know Wisdom has pretty much denounced me and is probably not returning, which is sad. There's no question about it. But the other thing that you have to understand is that, at least for me personally, I'm allergic to it. I'm allergic to it. Conagra Brands continuing to trade higher here.
Looks like there's some of these movers that are getting a lift here all of a sudden. ARAB moving up, IBO moving up, ICCT moving up. All of a sudden, I just started cycling through them. They were all starting to push up at the same time.
Got to be the inverse here. SPY rolling over. SOBR popping here.
ICCT trying to push into 7 again. And reshape pulling a little bit. Still above VWAP though.
ICCT, that did come back into its VWAP there, or towards it.
All right, so we are under 520 now. I was thinking we would at least see some kind of a bounce today. This is a lot more downside than I was anticipating, but that's okay.
Tried to bounce a little bit in the pre-market. Right now, it's actually holding on to those pre-market lows.
Yeah, this one's slightly higher.
Look what we did. Look what we did. Look at what we started with the pineapple thing. I told you that was a big one. I told you.
Allergic to the Caribbean must suck. He said pineapple, not coconuts.
Yeah, I did say pineapple. And actually, I have been to the Caribbean, and that was a blast. That was a blast. Western Caribbean cruise. Through Norwegian, but that was years ago.
Pre-COVID?
Way pre-COVID. I don't know if I'd step on a boat after COVID.
Yeah, after
someone tries locking me on a boat, there's going to be problems.
Yeah, that kind of. I mean, I've been on cruise ships before, and they're okay, but that I think turned me off to them forever.
Yeah, I think so too.
ICCT putting another series of upper shadows just above its VWAP. Be careful if you're still trading this to the upside. We already saw that it pulled when it started putting these upper shadows in earlier. Could be setting up to do the same thing again. Be careful, please. IBO coming off its 200 EMA has a lot of work to do to get back above its VWAP.
Is this?
ICCT still trying to push up there into 7. BDRX, not doing a whole lot today.
Okay. Izzy, that's something else. That is something else.
Reshape knifed. Thank you, Sideshow, for that mention.
Market Sniper trying to really get stuff going here. Chicago versus New York. Chicago all the way. Of course. Of course. I do actually. Lou Malnati's and Pequod's are really my two favorite pizzas of all time. But I love New York pizza. I love really. If you say pizza, I say yes. That's the equation.
Yeah, I know. I think it's only the pizza snobs that really think that it's worth debating.
Mullen might be curling. Was there some type of BS catalyst on this here this morning?
Well, we're seeing a lot of these movers just run on nothing.
I mean, I'm every time I bring Mullen up, I'm joking.
Do you look over your shoulder for Jay Rice before you say it?
I'm at the point now where I am constantly hearing Jay Rice. It's golf season too, and he's a former pro. So every time I screw up, I hear him yelling at me and rapping me with a golf club to try and teach me the correct thing to do. So yes, that happens all the time.
So Newsmax getting a mention here. That's up, says Hans. He's not wrong about that. Looking for $70.
Now, I still think that this is just overpriced junk here at this spot. So let me get that out of the way. However, with trading action here, if this continues, first of all, the volume here today is pretty good. And if this continues to move up, I would absolutely watch the 75.5 level here, because if you break through that to the upside, we already saw how ridiculous this thing can get. You break that to the upside, I honestly think 120 might be your next stop.
Really? That high up?
I mean, maybe. Look at on the move down here. Look how gappy this is. I mean, okay, 80 maybe, 80 and a half maybe. But look at this. Like this fell with the quickness. So round number 100, I'll give you that. That probably is going to be in there. And then maybe we'll adjust this a little, call it 115.
Yeah. 100 to 115, I think, would be the more reasonable area of where this could go to.
This is one of the things I was waiting for. Pan W calls and their leaps. Pan W calls getting bought into this, and they are leaps. Interesting. That's going to be the 145 call that expires June of 2026. That's interesting. Let me actually take a look at the Pan W chain now.
The best pizza charts in New York, says Mike.
What?
He says we in New York have best pizza charts.
Best pizza charts.
Because he's saying you got to stay out of them bars that serve pizza. I think he's making a chart reference: bar charts, pizza pie charts. You know.
Oh, okay. Got it. Now I got it. Yeah, Crocodile Dummy looked loose. That's it. Pete, thanks, Ryan. It is junk. GME all over again with a different audience. They continue to lose money. Oh, is that Newsmax that you're referring to? I think that was the last stock that I mentioned there.
You know, it's funny that he's calling it GME because I was looking at that as a DJT.
Which
Newsmax.
one?
Newsmax.
Oh, Newsmax. Yeah. You know what's funny? So I bet that entire crowd of fans, let's call them, that was trading DJT just under the Trump bubble probably went to Newsmax. And the other thing that I'm actually disappointed in is when we were talking about the IPO, or when we knew that the IPO was coming back, I did not even think about that. And I feel like if I had said, yeah, well, you're going to get a rush of cult traders into this new IPO, I almost feel like maybe I couldn't have guessed where Newsmax was going, but we could have guessed that it would have had an explosive IPO day. Now, of course, hindsight's 2020, so it is what it is. But I'm just kind of thinking back, like, well, why wasn't Newsmax more of a target? And the one thing I really think I missed there, and just kind of spinning stuff forward, was that the cult crowd from the DJT trade were probably going to hit the NMAX trade, and I think we saw that.
And I think what the next one's going to be is this Rebel Group one, because that may have the same kind of traders that were trading DJT and Newsmax. So this could be another one.
Didn't this move big when we had that news about Liberty Safes giving the back door to the FBI? Let me look at the daily chart on that. Let me hang on a second.
Yeah, I don't remember
how it's going to be so split on that.
I don't remember this. There was June. It was June 7th when this had a big rip to 91. So that's where the news would be if that's what it was. But it looks like it's trying to push higher here. It just made new highs. Coming off of that, it's a 951 as a current high, but still looks like it's trying to push higher. We'll see. Meanwhile, ICCT, that went under VWAP again briefly before recapturing. CXAI, that's still down at its 200 EMA on the 5-minute. Reshape losing VWAP.
It was
on that news?
No. I'm saying it was what I was speculating there. Liberty Safes turned over, let the FBI into some guy's safe so they could drum up a bunch of charges against him. This article here was September 7th of 2023. What is the Liberty Safe? Because I remember that.
Really, 14 smoked tuna? That's massive. That's $6 or $5 or $6 from where we are now. Let me see here. What does that look like? Where are you getting the 14 from? I'm not saying that I disagree with that or anything. I'm just kind of curious because that's Okay, maybe. Okay, I think I see what you're talking about now. A little bit of consolidation back from February. Is that what you're referring to? Let me know.
Me?
No, I'm talking
Okay.
to. Sorry, whoever.
Smoke tuna.
Smoke tuna.
Yeah. So September 7th of 2023, this AREB, this moved gigantic on that safe gun safe story. It actually moved a bunch of other times very violently after that, probably unrelated. The stock's been reverse split though since then several times here.
It's halted now, by the way, at 10:02.
Okay. Sorry, that took me longer than it needed to do to actually go back and get that date, but I just wanted to confirm that here. I'm not sure how important it was.
Okay.
Let me go back to my main workspace here.
I think you mean resistance, but SDFU. But yeah, I got you. So 1460. I see that. I saw that area now. I got you. I got you, guys. All right. Well, there's ICCT with its knife.
Just gonna say, I was just noticing that when you were mentioning it. 516.5 now on the SPY.
Can you zoom in so we can take a look at the way those candles look? Because this is the point I was making all morning.
Sure. Here you go.
This is the kind of price action that really should be making you think twice about your about where you're going to be entering and exiting. A lot of times, when you see these wicks on the top here, at this kind of length, usually is it's preceding a drop, and that's what happened here twice already. You had the early ones that were up at 761. That led to a drop beneath VWAP. Second series of 3 candles of upper shadows. That was it looks like it ended up being a bearish mat hold that took us beneath the VWAP. I'd be looking at the 65 EMA on the 5-minute at this point. That's going to be down near 540. Uber pounded. CXAI under $1. On the 5-minute chart, you can see the flag pattern. You're talking about ICCT? Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, and guys, with the chat being a little bit like delayed from the stream, if you're referencing something, throw that ticker in the chat there so that we can probably figure it out a little bit quicker.
Appreciate that. And that was absolutely a great mention. Let's see where it was. Crocodile Done Me, ICCT knife, and it's 1030. Great mention. So here is the volume potentially leaving the market. We're starting to. So might not get some of the price action we're looking for. Might not get those follow-throughs. All right, so it looks like the SQQQ is still just going to be moving up. 48.37 was the pre-market high. Was not expecting to see that number in the SQQQ this soon.
Sideshow, take care of yourself. Pete saying this might be your big capitulation day. That would actually be exciting to me, Pete. Yeah. I don't know if we're going to get that. Let me ask you, what would you be looking for other than obviously the values that you gave there? Like what trigger would you be looking for to say, yep, this is it. It is today. Because sometimes those are hard to time. That's been my experience. But capitulation day, I'd take that.
Yeah,
I'd take that.
And if we reverse, if you look at an intra-session chart or an intraday chart on the SPY, if we reverse, we might be having a double bottom intraday. If that happens, then I would not expect new lows to be printed if we do move away and recapture that 15% correction level. Intraday double bottoms and double tops for that matter, or any bearish or bullish pattern that forms over the course of a regular session intraday, that tends to indicate that the highs or the lows are going to be in for that session. That's more times than not, that's what's happened. Okay. So we could be seeing if we don't break down here beneath the low that we printed in the pre-market, which was 515.95, so 516. As long as we don't start printing significantly lower lows than that, this may be a double bottom.
You're also getting some more news here. China. To open an anti-monopoly probe into DuPont.
Okay.
Ticker DD down 15% here. This is what Tom told us would happen.
Yes, because they're going to use this as an opportunity to go after American companies and say that they did this violation, that violation. We need to investigate them. And meanwhile, you need to show us all the information that you've been collecting and storing here, and you need to do this and that, submit this and that. Basically, give us everything you own.
Okay. Pete, thank you for answering here. I'd be looking for new 52-week lows in names that literally make no sense to completely sell off. So, you know what might be a decent barometer for that, Pete? Dollar General. You start seeing this getting pounded, that's just them selling everything. There's probably more. I just came up with one off the top of my head. This is actually actionable, though. This is good stuff. Britt, by the way, I've been screen grabbing charts and trading and uploading them to Chat GPT and asking them to analyze it for me. It does pretty good. Does anyone else do this? No, but now you've just given me a really good idea. So when I'm sipping on my wine tonight, Britt, I might be going through charts tonight, talking with Chat GPT. How exciting does my Friday night sound like? This is actually a really good idea, though. You know, I will say Thinkorswim, for all you Thinkorswim users, there is a chart describer tool that you can dock to your sidebar that you can look at different time frames and it'll explain things from the chart. And so, you know what I would do, Britt, is I would actually bench test the Chat GPT idea that you have here against that chart describer. I wonder if there are other brokers that have something similar to that. I wonder if we'll start seeing more of that stuff. Anyway. Steve-O, you're right about this. I think it's a good time for me to be learning to trade, because if you learn to make money in a tough market, I completely agree with that. I'd like to get maybe some more or varying opinions, just more in general opinions from those of you that have a lot of experience. I believe exactly what Steve's saying. I think that if you get started trading in a market that is just a raging bull market, it can send you false signals. You think it's easier than it actually is. You think stuff always has to go up. And when the market ticks down 0.1%, you start having heart palpitations. I think that if you learn to start trading in markets that are difficult like this, the only way you're going to survive is by having good habits. And those habits will be forged early in your journey. So I'd like to get others' opinion on that. But Steve, I'm with you on that. I would agree with that. Britt, the tool in Thinkorswim is called Chart Describer. It's just like a little widget that you can put on the side, and it like explains different things from the chart. Like, for example, here, if I click on the 1 year, 1 day chart for Apple, it says this security's implied volatility is at the highest point in its past year at 52.9%. The standard deviation channel over 21 periods has an upper value of 230.21 and a lower value of 195.23. So it basically, whatever you have on the chart, it will explain it in English. I'm wondering how that compares to ChatGPT.
AREB,
Yeah.
That unhalted popped to 1137, and then immediately knifed and into another halt. It is that 1030 effect, folks. I think AREB might be finished for, I don't want to say for the day, but just for now. We may see this come back down to VWAP, maybe even go underneath it.
Brandon saying, yeah, Britt, I've tried that too. Great for learning. Well, this is a really good suggestion. I'll try this. Pete, I'm more of a tech investor and trader, Ryan. So that's where my 52-week low comment comes in. If there are likely to be a few, there are likely to be a few after today if this continues.
I absolutely agree with that.
So do I.
52-week lows are one of the things I look for when I'm considering long-term positions. I don't want to own anything making 52-week highs. That's where I'm selling.
Exactly.
So absolutely, 52-week lows, absolutely something you need to. I would consider for going in a long-term position. 100%. Why don't Chinese tariffs crash the market? What do you mean?
The tariffs on China. Why isn't our market crashing? Because it's not going to end what we do over here.
515. I mean, I'm not saying that. I guess we have a different idea about what crashing is, but this is a crash tape that we're in. Look at the moves that we just had over the past few days. We're gapping down, and we're still falling. This is a crash tape that we're in. So the tariff situation did crash our market. It's just not crashing it to some levels that some people.
That's the thing. I think when people hear crash, they think zero, and I think there's so much sensationalization of all of this stuff, that it's like when these terms get thrown out, like, you're right, this is a crash tape. This is the elevator down move. And it's freaking people out because it's happening faster than they want to see it happen. But
this
again,
is a bungee jump, if anything. I mean, the elevators don't move this fast. No, but I get what you're saying. Compared to COVID market, compared to COVID crash. Well, because when you had COVID, everybody thought the world was ending.
not everybody.
And well, I get you get what I'm saying.
I know. I'm just making a joke.
Okay, but I don't think that everybody thinks the world is ending. I think it's just a lot of people think the United States is ending, which is funny. But so this is a little bit different from COVID, but still, this is. I don't know that we had similar moves to COVID like this, but I'm not sure that we had anything that did exactly this over 2 days. We might have. I'd have to go back and look, because we did have some really significant moves down during COVID. But yeah, this is just the largest amount of shares we've had traded in a long time yesterday.
Anne Marie, like this. Interesting that Bitcoin, very interesting that Bitcoin is holding above 80K. And indeed it is. It's actually done a really good job today. It is outperforming the market.
And that might be another reason why you're seeing some of these riskier names still move. Because I look at Bitcoin as the ultimate risk asset, and that kind of gives me an indication of how risky traders are feeling. So if that's
it almost makes me wonder if people are feeling a little bit better, but still in that waiting, that patience area. We're just kind of waiting to see if it's all shook out yet or not. I don't think it is.
DJI down 1,400. Thanks.
Andrew Senior TV asking me if I would trade VXX. I mean, I'd have to really have a good reason and a good thesis. Full disclosure, at least for me in my trading career, there was a period back when I was younger where I thought that I was going to be able to make a lot of money trading the VIX. And I tried a number of different things, and all that turned into was lost money. I basically I joke around now and I say I donated money to the VIX fund. So for me, VIX has never been a winner, and I operate under a very simple premise. If I'm doing something and it isn't working, don't do it. And that's kind of what happened to me with the VIX.
I know there's people that trade this every day, but for me, this wouldn't be like an everyday thing. This would be like, we know the market's about to tank or something, and that would be the time that I would trade something like this. When I know that it would have been a good trade if you picked it up yesterday and held it overnight. But normally, no, this is not something I trade. And if I did, it would be only under those circumstances when I know that we're going to be seeing big moves in this. This wouldn't be an everyday thing for me. Yeah, and I'll tell you what, James, those all look pretty interesting to me.
Which one? Where is that?
He's saying that Microsoft, KB Homes, Qualcomm, AI, which is I think C3. Dell, Boeing, and Micron all at 52-week lows. The ones I like the most, I like Microsoft, QCOM, and maybe even Dell the most. But Microsoft, I'm long-term holder of that one.
Microsoft a little bit safer there. Ryan, was the producer TVIX. So TVIX is one that I trade. UVXY and TVIX were the ones that I traded a whole lot. The big wake up call was the termination of SVXY, the volatility ETF that was down like 70%. A whole bunch of traders were like, "Oh God, anything that goes down 70% is going to buy," and then that thing got terminated. And then you started to see all of the memes out there of Arnold Schwarzenegger saying terminated. That was a really, really bad. That was a really, really bad time. I'm glad I didn't get hit in that one, Mike. But to answer your question, TVIX and UVXY were the two that I thought I knew what I was doing, and nope.
Have a good weekend, Britt. Take care. TVIX was awful. Any thoughts on CRVO?
Britt, hey, Britt, I can appreciate this. Have a good one. I'll be studying my charts tonight too on a wild Friday. Good answer, Britt. Enjoy some wine. That's funny. Which one were you just looking at? Sorry.
CRVO.
CRVO.
Very high short interest. 45.4% of the float shorted. This had a Benzinga exclusive on April 1st. Okay. Hold on a second. Let me read something real quick here because they may have given us a future catalyst to watch for. CRVO. Okay. So tomorrow, and that's probably why this is moving today, tomorrow they are going to present their results from, I believe it's phase 2B for their Rewin D-LB drug tomorrow at the 19th International Conference on Alzheimer's and Parkinson's Disease. So that's, I think, why this might be moving right now. Don't know for a fact, but that's the only other news that we have here, and it was from Wednesday. And that catalyst is tomorrow when the markets are closed. So that's what I think with that. Sorry, go ahead.
Strategy here, 271. So this is actually, I guess, with Bitcoin holding, perhaps I'm not surprised that this one, I would have thought this one would have been absolutely annihilated and murdered. But only down 4% here. Bitcoin's actually up 0.3%, so it is diverging a little bit there.
Yeah, sorry. Well, that's the whole thing that he's on right now. And that's it. That's the narrative that he's pushing. Everybody else is putting tariffs on the U.S., but we're not putting tariffs on anybody else. And there's these large trade imbalances as a result. So he wants all these other countries with large imbalances to play fair, basically.
And the other thing here, so Cyril, the other thing here is that it's much easier for folks to have a business as usual approach, right? It's been working like this for a long time, and it's the people that try to change things. Those are the people that run into resistance. I'll share with you something here. Let me make sure here. Okay. So we're still good here on time. We do have an all access, but I did want to share something with you here that actually kind of resonated, and it's kind of related to what you were saying. Let me see if I can find it here because I won't be able to quote it. Here, so I'm going to try to do this as fast as I can, but Cyril, maybe this will help you. I look at it this way, and this is a quote here from Quoth the Raven. This is not mine at all. I've been reading this guy for a long time, so credit to him. I look at it this way. For the last 45 years, the battle between labor and capital has been overwhelmingly in capital's favor. Look at the nosebleed level of markets, the price of real estate, the gutting of the middle class. Heck, I've been lucky enough to benefit from a lot of it, myself included, by the way. Take a drive through any Midwestern state, and you can take a look at all but abandoned towns that once offered opportunities for people to work, raise family, and have purpose in life. These towns now have nothing to offer other than a part-time position at Dollar General. Holla, DG. Gutted towns like these are all across America. Their populations relying on some government substance while they deal with alcoholism and drug abuse that is rampant. So along comes a billionaire president, and what I'm told is he's just out for his billionaire friends, and he seems to want to change that metric. He wants to try and bring manufacturing back. He seems willing to do something that will not be politically favorable for him, for the long-term betterment of the country and its citizens. But wait, I can't have this. Look, my totally inflated, pumped-up stock portfolio just blipped down. How will I be able to buy those cheap plastic Chinese vacuums that I need to replace every 18 months if we put tariffs on imports? Just another counterpoint there, something to think about. But the large point here is you're right, and then there was someone else, I think it was Brandon, mentioned that emotions seem to be creeping in about this. And that's true. And I'm not here to tell someone what emotions to have. That is not my place to do that. But just something to consider when you're making your decisions. Okay. We good? Almost 3 minutes. Close. Right. I wanted to make sure I had enough time there. 3 minutes until we go over to all access. SPY here printing new lows here, 512.
That looks like we're going to test that 500-day SMA sooner than we thought. We are getting really oversold too. 24 RSI on the SPY. I'd have to go and look and see the last time that it was this low because it's been a while. I want to say maybe the last time it was low was around September of 2022, but it wasn't even that low. Maybe we're, yeah, looks like aside from COVID, it was January of 2022 when the Russo-Ukraine war is about to start. It's the only other time in recent history where the SPY RSI has been this oversold.
We went right through that 15% pullback level. Let me turn the 500 back on. Boy, we might get that.
Mm-hmm.
Have a great weekend, Hellcat. Appreciate all of you.
You too. You too, Hellcat. Take care. Coke earning 24 times earnings. Is that where they're at right now? Yeah. But I'm not in this one. My whole trade in this one was 2023 and 2024.
All right, 13. Let's give some closing thoughts here from the group. We'll send it over to Kevin.
All right, folks. It's been a wild week. Hopefully we all made some money. I know I had a pretty good week. I hope you did too. Let's come back here with a great mindset like we had, even in the face of these this tariff sell-off. And let's have another great week trading on Monday and throughout. Folks, have a good weekend. I'll see you Monday.
Sounds good, 13. Thanks again for all that you do for us. Enjoy your weekend. We will be back. The sun will come up. We'll be back. Good to see you. Good work here this week. 13's departure leaves room for Kevin. Let's go ahead and bring Kevin on. Kevin, happy Friday, my man. How you doing?
Oh, man. Happy Friday indeed, Ryan. I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Hey, anytime I'm not really feeling sick and you're not covering for me, I'm doing pretty good. But that's the case here. Getting ready to roll into the weekend. What do you got coming up for us here on All Access?
Man, we have All Access. We have a great guy coming up, CEO Dennis Calvert of BioLargo. That is ticker BLGO. We got some big things to announce. He's been on before, but we'll give you guys a brief summary too. Really excited to have him on today.
Okay, awesome. I'll take it back from you when you're done with that. All Access begins right now. Kev, take it away.
Absolutely. Guys, welcome back to another episode of All Access. As I mentioned before, we have CEO Dennis Calvert of BioLargo. Dennis, whenever you're ready, bring you on. Hey, Dennis, how's it going? Hello and welcome to All Access.
Kevin, thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
What a day to be on the show. Holy cow.
Oh, I know. You're telling me. It's a lot's been going on in these markets.
I
And in the
know.
world.
I know. You know, we've got comments on some of that stuff, how it impacts us, how it doesn't, how we get through it all. But, you know, our business just keeps cranking along. We've been doing this for so long, and we've overcome so many market resets. I can't even explain it, you know. But I think it's really a testimony to the technology, the diversity, capital conserving strategy, right? And so we've got some staying power here. So it's a good time to take a good deep dive on BioLargo.
Yeah, that's great. So I know you've been on All Access before, but for all the viewers who haven't seen you or don't really know much about the company, why don't you give us a little brief overview of what you guys do?
It's awesome. You know, we've been innovating for over 16 years. We've got 4 deep assets in the portfolio. Think of us sort of like an investment group, except we go vertical, right? So we're now up to 45 employees, I don't know, 50 something people as a team, deep in science and engineering, focused on sustainable solutions of high impact for human health and the marketplace and the environment, sustainability. Anyway, some of those assets have gone commercial. They're really hitting some nice home runs and heading to major success. Got a couple assets that are coming to market now. We're watching early adoption. And so our financial condition just continues to improve. I think it's in the last 4 years, it's over 600% growth. This last year was 40% growth. We just filed our 10K and had an earnings call just a couple of days ago. And of course, some of our assets are now making really good money, and we're deploying those in venture stage investing. But the thing to remember about BioLargo is that in the portfolio, each of the technologies that create the cornerstone of our commercial focus, there's 4 right now. Battery tech, PFAS removal from the environment, medical device for infection control, and then this odor control product that's really generating, massive cash flow for us that allows us to continue innovating in all these other spaces. The thing to remember about that portfolio is that in each case, the technology represents what we believe is best of class, transformative tech for a marketplace. And so, easy to say, really hard to do. It's taken us a long time. But the strategy is to invent, prove, and partner. Invent, prove, and partner. What that means is that we can really conserve a lot of capital. We can use our precious time and capital to focus on the innovation side, the rounding of a patent portfolio, the strategy of how to get these technologies seated in the market, and then partner our way to significance for high impact on a global scale. And again, it's such an unusual portfolio. It's not an easy flyby. You got to peel the onion and focus on the business and look deep. And here's what happens. When people look deep, they love our company, especially in these troubled times of the open market. We're just a consistent, steadfast developer of innovation that can change the world for good. And it's just a matter of time as those technologies find their way to market.
That's great. And you know what? When you say things take time, everything that's worth it does take time.
It does. And I'm always amazed at how much money and how much time. In fact, my only apology for our journey is I'm just so sorry it took so long. And it wears some people out. And here's the thing, though. Today is a moment where we watch the fruit bear out from planting seeds and nurturing these technologies for literally over a decade. I mean, it's taken a long time to get to this spot. And so all the insiders are long. Nobody's a seller. We've been long since inception. I always tell people, if you're a seller, you can't work here. I mean, we got to make everybody some money. And so that really bears out when you look at the portfolio. And again, this last year is a record year. Every year's been a record year for about the last 8 years. And we just keep climbing up. And again, we're on the OTCQX, right? So that puts us in the top like 200 out of 10,000 firms. And thank God we're not on the big board yet, because I think we would have gotten routed just like everybody else. So look at our stock. It's stable. It's got a lot of support in this range, a lot of support. And that's very important because we've got breakthrough commercial efforts. Most recently, we just talked about our medical device company. And this last year, it was the number one spend in the portfolio. We spent about $3.7 million. That's a lot of money for us. Okay. It's a lot of money for us. Advancing the technology for global scale adoption with a major partner. So we had to invest in infrastructure. We put a couple $1 million in manufacturing capability to ramp up to about 1 million units. And now we're just at that moment at which that product can finally find its way to market. Now that's been, ready? $20 million in 14 years.
Wow.
Dennis,
I'm so sorry. You mentioned products. Now, I wanted to ask you about a product, Poof.
Sure.
Now, Poof has been a hit for you guys. Do you mind telling us about the product's development and how you got it to the market and how sales are going so far this year?
Yeah, Poof is a big revenue producer for us, for sure, and a great testimony to the technology. So that's over 10 years of development work. We went industrial first, and we landed all these national accounts for industrial odor control. And the key to the science behind it's great science, by the way, is that it performs an oxidation reaction, redox, oxidation reaction. So as oxidation is this idea of breaking down molecules, right? So it breaks down molecules and eliminates the source of odor. So when it comes in contact with an organic molecule, right, it breaks it down. When it breaks down, it can't come back. So it eliminates the odor on contact, and dose for dose, make it work. And it does so without harm. No stain, no environmental issue, no sensitivity, no long-term chronic issue for people or the planet or animals, right? Safe on everything. All right. So we went through this grind to develop that product, and a marketing group called Ikigai Marketing Works came to us and said, we think you got a potential of $1 billion product here. And we said, yeah. So we did a business deal, and we're the supply chain and the technology provider. And then the team created Poof, and now they're building this global brand. So in 3 years, right? 3 years, they're now in approximate 40,000 retail outlets, all the major brands in the world, one of the fastest growing pet products in the marketplace. And that is one of our core inventions in the portfolio. And that's a great way to monetize the asset. Now, here's the trick of that. One tip. Not only do we make a little money for manufacturing, a little money on the technology, but we bargain for 20% of the brand equity that is building value on a daily basis. Okay. And so that's one of those assets in the portfolio that underlies the top view. You have to peel back and say, well, what's going on here? Hey, we're partners over there. This product's going to go big. And in fact, most people think it can be $1 billion a year kind of product category. So, and this is just a great testimony to the strategy, technology, and then finding great partners that do what they say.
Wow, that's something, man. That's great. You got a great product going. I could really see it expanding and maybe even hitting that $1 billion per year.
It's
That's
going to take a
great.
while. Billion
Yeah.
will take a while. I don't wanna sell that.
Everything takes time.
Yeah.
So-
But it is, and it's got such great reception in the market, and the idea that you can eliminate so safely really makes
That's
it work.
huge. That's one of the biggest concerns of everyday Americans is, could we get rid of this safely, especially if
Right.
it's odors, cleaning material situations like that. So I do have another question. How big of an issue is PFAS contamination, and how prevalent is it, and how damaging is it to humans?
Well, so PFAS is forever chemicals, right? That's the
Okay.
that's the chemistry that's used to make nonstick coatings. It's been used for 50 years. Big players, big lawsuits. There's a movie called Dark Waters. If you haven't seen it, you got to watch it. It's on Netflix. And it's like an Aaron Brockovich story about Robert Bilott, who takes on the big boys, wins in a big class action, and sort of breaks the camel's back of exposing the environmental and the human health risks linked to birth defects and cancer, of course. All right. So we got a way to take it out of the environment, and we believe we're number one in the market. All right. And we're still defending that, not trying to trick anybody. And we've got evidence to support that for early commercial adoption, technical support, highly technical play, estimated to be a global, you ready? $17 trillion market. Yeah. This is going to look, it took 50 years to get there. It's going to take 50 years to get out. Now, just recently, our company and me on behalf of our company was invited to join an Environmental Technology Trade Advisory Committee to the Secretary of Commerce. The only reason we're there is because of that technology. And the reason we're there is because this is an issue that's of global importance. And I think from an export perspective, creating commerce in line with the administration's agenda of Buy America, Build America, right? This is a great example of how innovation technology can actually move the needle for not just the industry, but for our country and for the world. This is a breakthrough technology. Yeah. Now we've invested almost 4 years, almost 5 years, gosh, and we've got early adoption. And so we just now did a case study where we can show that we can reduce the total life cycle cost by as much as 90% over the incumbent technology.
Wow. So just improvement on top of improvement. You explained, how does your tech extract the PFAS?
Well, it's funny, when that industry first got, when you talk about policy, right, there's a carrot and a stick. The stick is you got to comply or you get fined. That's EPA. And the carrot is incentives. Well, the SBIR, Small Business Innovative Research Grant, came out, and we got one. It was nice. It was a nice, good start to get started in the market. And we did a lot of work. And what we discovered, we had an idea, and it was just an idea, right? It's just an idea when it starts. And the idea was
that we
believe PFAS has a charge. It has an electric charge. And if it has a charge, you have the ability in a flow of water to migrate the molecules to an opposites attract, and isolate and selectively extract the molecule in a flow of water. Okay, that sounds pretty easy. Get an electrode, flow the water through, attach, and then hit a membrane, chemically bind it to a membrane so you can selectively extract. So simple, right? Not so simple. Actually, really complicated. The art of its practice is pretty amazing, but we proved it to be true. So now what's happened with that refinement is that we can achieve non-detect status. So we're the most efficient selective isolate and selective extraction and isolation technology, because once you do that, destruction's pretty easy. And so one of our lead inventors, Randy Moore, he says, look, if you're the most efficient collector, you win. We're the most efficient collector, and we believe in the world.
That's great. So I got 2 last follow-up questions before we wrap it up, and I really appreciate your time. Thank you for being here today. What great information, fantastic company, and I'm glad it's led by such a smart person like yourself.
Oh,
how was 2020?
I just try to shuffle around all the smart guys, brother. I'm telling you, I work with the smartest people.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. So how was 2024 for BioLargo? I know you mentioned earlier you just released your year-end report. Could you give us some highlights on it? just real briefly?
Yeah, well,
for us?
40% growth. We came in about 18 million bucks, right? So that's not too bad. Of course, we just, 18 million. I think to myself, it should be hundreds of millions. We're not there yet, literally. Okay. And so, as I always say, proud but not satisfied. Proud but not satisfied. But the key for that performance is that when you look at the conservative way we conserve capital, the very, very methodical, very careful, and stick with the business model, which is don't be the bank. Don't be the bank.
Right.
Okay. Come up with great innovation and leverage core competency. What's our core competency? Innovation, science and technology, high impact purpose, capital conserving strategy. We stick with that model. And so as a result, where most people fail, right? Let me just ask you rhetorical. How many companies come to market and survive? Well, 90% fail. Okay. How many go to 10 million a year in revenue? Another 1%. Okay. How many go to 100 million recurring revenue as a startup? That's us. That's us. Okay. Now we're not there. We came into 18 million. But what we've shown, because we diversify portfolio and we leverage technical assets through partnership, we have the ability to scale in a way that most companies can't. So we're just now at that launch pad of significance. And that's why you want to take a deep dive and really peel the onion and understand the technical claims that we're making, because they're astonishing. And in fact, the biggest issue I deal with in the market is they say, it can't be, it's too good to be true. I'm like, no, it is true. We've proven it over and over and over, and we've showed discipline in the way we get this company positioned for massive success. So we're pretty excited and bullish, of course, and especially now with so much pressure in the market. We're a good alternative for people to look for a place to park their capital.
That's phenomenal. Things you mentioned, how you leverage things differently, how these other companies, the 90% don't. Those are the ones who fail. Those are the ones who don't go up and beyond to make sure things happen. So I did notice something else recently. You guys were named the U.S. Department of Commerce Environmental Technologies Trade Advisory Committee. Quite the mouthful, but congratulations. What's your role, and what do you hope comes from your presence?
Yeah, that advisory position is really quite a compliment to us. And I wish I could tell you it was all my charm and charisma, but it wasn't. It was definitely our technology. And in fact, we were identified as an up and coming important technology for this global problem. And so we're honored to be there. And the first thing, we're in the circle of great companies. There's about 40 companies involved, and it's trade associations, it's billion-dollar companies. It's a handful of innovators like us who bring a unique perspective to the group. And our mandate really is to look very carefully at trade policy. Now, because Secretary of Commerce measures its success by net export dollars, right? In order to do net export dollars, you have to have success in America. You got to find a way to have innovative technology find adoption. So after the first couple of meetings, we've had about 4 meetings, I think. We just started this term. It's a 2-year service term. And I was actually appointed as the subcommittee chair to the enabling innovative technologies to the group, which is really awesome because it gives me access to understanding policy, understanding this idea of carrot and a stick, right? The combination of regulatory enforcement and incentives to see technology. And so I think for BioLargo, our stakeholders, our employees, and our technology, it couldn't be a better spot. I mean, it's just such an unusual moment.
You guys sound like you're really in that good area at that good point, that you're really getting your feet firm on the ground. You have good capital behind you. You guys are starting to build even stronger. Fantastic. Dennis, I can't thank you enough for your time today. Guys, make sure you hit that like button. Thank Dennis so much for being here today.
Take care. Dennis. Go BioLargo. Thanks.
Take care. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this scene of All Access. Take care, everybody. Hit that like button. We're going to be passing it off now. I think I'm giving it back to Ryan.
Heyo, sorry, producer. I was trying to do it too. Producer got in there. Thanks, Kevin.
Absolutely, guys. Take care, everybody.
Stay safe. Have a good rest of your weekend.
You too. Have a good weekend, everyone. Take care. Hit that like button.
Kevin's departure leaves room for Anne-Marie. Let's go ahead and bring on Anne-Marie, who's excited to go on a Friday here. Absolutely love it, Anne-Marie. How are you doing?
I'm good. I decided to wear orange today to go danger, danger.
Okay, I went with the whites thinking Anne-Marie might wear the whites again on Friday, and here I am, just out in the cold. But all good. All right, let's go. You got your charts up? You want to?
Doing it right now,
Perfect.
sire.
And so I know we got really kind of a crazy market here. So if you have any wisdom or anything from your years of experience that you want to share with the group, now is probably a great time.
So here's the thing. When we get into the trading space, because we see so much market motion, we think to ourselves, well, there's got to be a trade here. And so here's the thing. There are trades here, but I want to show you what's happening to the volatility chains in the indices. So first, this is the ES, the E-mini S&Ps, right? This number shows implied volatility. Last time we were together, I said, here's how you can tell what the market makers are stretching as the relative move for the day in the 0 DTEs. At 7:30 this morning, this number for IV was 138 at 7:30 Eastern time. At 8:05, it was 513. And so they were packing in all kinds of implied volatility based on the jobs number move that came out. And then somehow or other, about 10 minutes before that jobs number came out, it fell off the cliff. So what I'm going to be doing while I'm away is I'm going to really start tracking this data and seeing if the option chains give us a heads up as to whether the move will expand us out of the range or send us back into the range. So just talking to you about that. But for SPY, here's something super interesting. These volatilities, they have expanded dramatically. This number 9, this is for the option that expires today, tells us that from this point right here at 518, the market is telling us that the option chains are pricing in either $9 up or $9 down. So what can we do with that? Here's how you work on trading something like that. Let's hope my brain can remember the number 9. Because
I'll try to remember it for you. 9. We got it.
Okay. So it's pricing in 9. Listen, 2 days ago, it was pricing in $1.50 on each side. So literally volatility has exploded. Now, if we stare this down and we go, all right, what gives? I look at $9 below, that gives me 107. Oh no, it's 519, so that's 510. Oh, look at that. Shock.
Oh my God.
Holy cow.
That's
look at that
almost to the
crazy.
penny, Anne-Marie.
Oh my word. And then, man, it's so much that we don't know, but if we just stare long enough, there are so many nuggets in the market price action that tell us about motion. Okay, 2.9 from where we are here, that's 529. Round and about there. So when we see a range like this, we could say to ourselves, first thing when it opens, if you're 0 DTE crazy and you like what you're seeing, spread the range. When it gets to the bottom, you want to just go a little outside and sell the put spread, right? So you might sell the 50, let's say it came into 510 and you were sitting right there. You could go, I'm going to sell 508 to 505 for the $2, let it expand to the top, and then do the same thing, because the expected move ends up really holding the trading price in a pocket. So that's the first thing. The second thing that's very interesting is this move. We just moved over 30. We had a big spike in the VIX, right? Big spike in the VIX on the 4-hour chart. It's been a hot minute since it's been up there. but you could see it rising yesterday and then continuing today. But look at the size of the wicks. Now, here's the thing. The VIX means 30 days implied volatility.
Mhm.
And now they're trying to do these weekly options based on a 30-day implied volatility. It's so financialized. You just, I mean, what does it even mean? But these numbers have also expanded. The one expiring on next Friday, looks like. Next Friday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
$10, $9.40, somewhere around there. Listen, if you want to know how to look at any chart that you're looking at, give me one that you're super interested in.
Pan W.
I heard you talking about that. I own way too much of this thing. I just got
I
to
see.
tell
I
you.
don't own enough of it yet, and I'm like trying to make sure that I hit the right spot.
So let's take a look at it. Do you want to look at 30-day implied vol, or do you want to
Sure.
look at, okay, so 42 days out is the 16th of May. Let's do that. That looks like, oh, for the love of Pete, that looks like about $23, way underpriced. My thought is that $53 is way underpriced. And so let's go and look at it. So we got 53, so that gives us about 210 or something on the top side, but only, I mean, literally, if we look at the long side of it, it's got a $53 spread. That's all the way down at 100, right? And
Mhm.
so it's got a lot priced in there, but I think the better bet is on the failure to move to the upside unless you look at a leap. And of course, you know, I like those leaps that have spreads on them
Mhm.
because they just matter. So here's the thing. The implied measured move puts us right around 100. Remember, it's going to be a little squishy. So you could say to yourself, okay, either I wait to 100 or I start watching for a price break here. And to me, listen, in times like these, folks, and I have been around the block a time or two. I don't think ladies are supposed to say that. All kinds of implications there.
Yeah,
But
but I thankfully we have a mature group that knows exactly what you mean. But I understand the tiptoeing.
yes. So, you know, not my first rodeo. And here's what I'm going to tell you. When the market begins volatility expansion, and reflexive motion. Remember, we are being driven by the option chains now.
Mhm.
Once those expansions start beginning and credit spreads begin to widen, everything starts to snowball. First, hedge funds start de-risking and de-levering. All we have to sit down and say is, listen, there's a space for me to have an edge. And that's where everybody else began to buy.
Mhm.
And for Palo Alto, I don't see that number until 130. So it's at that, why? Why would I pick that one? You see this big pocket of motion? I think that's inventory accumulation in a very wide spread. If I take a look at maybe a quarterly bar, you're going to see all of those candlesticks just jammed right up together. See it? Just jammed right up together. So it's telling us, listen, a lot of people accumulated between this 140 and 180, and then just before the breakout, everybody said, hey, listen, 127 is the most I'm going to pay. And I suspect that that's where we're going to come. And a lot of people are thinking,
Hmm.
oh my gosh, that's really far. Listen, we've been running like a
I know.
scalded dog
I know.
for years. And we just have to go See, all of the folks that have been used to making money really easy in the market, this is their first real introduction
Yep.
to volatility, their first introduction. And so what happens is everybody scoops everybody out and goes, listen, I'm going to sell and ask questions later. Notice this morning, we still have a little bit of green. That means they're still moving out of these guys into these guys. To me, that says we're not done yet.
Yep.
It's got to turn red, and it's
Eh.
got to stay red for a couple of days.
And I love that. I absolutely love that. One of the things that I was saying yesterday, Anne Marie, as I was watching the carnage unfold, is I was like, this selling felt orderly all day long. All day long,
Absolutely.
it felt orderly. And I said to the first thing, because I've been around the block a few times myself, and not as many, but a few times myself, I said to myself, with this being orderly, that tells me that there's more downside. Well, look at what the market is doing here today. And so this is I think that's a really great mention, really fascinating. Consumer discretionary, those pockets seem to be in consumer discretionary. I would have guessed staples.
Yeah. And again, that's why here's something that's really interesting to me. We talked about it a little bit on the show. I was in the chat box and I said, what do you make of Bitcoin being up today?
Mm-hmm.
To me, this is something that says, look out, shorts. If you are planning on loading the boat short, I am going to step on your neck. And because what does this measure? Liquidity. It's measuring liquidity, and it's completely decoupled from the NASDAQ. It used to run in tandem with it. Now it's completely decoupled. Now we're saying, wait, we're in the range. We're well above the low of yesterday. We printed above the high of yesterday. What goes? And so this is why I say, listen, if you're thinking about shorts, you better wait for a bounce. And if you're thinking about longs, you just have to let things just agitate themselves down in a region where they hold this sideways motion, right? And somebody just said Bitcoin up, gold down. I don't know why Lowell had to go there, but what I would say is this: we are in a financialized market, and that means when everybody starts sweeping out the cobwebs, everything goes, because somebody's going to get a margin call and they're going to go, hey, you know what? That's been going great. I need to sell some of that gold to make margin in my other positions. It is very controlled, very, very controlled.
Okay. All right, good stuff there. We do have 4 more minutes. Anything you want to cover here before we go listen to what Powell has to? How would you like to be Powell today?
Oh my gosh, listen, stab me in the eye. I will take that one better. Stab me in both eyes.
I won't even do. It's funny too, because yesterday I said I'd rather pry my eyes out with spoons, and now here you are talking about stab each other. So let's avoid all of that. Let's avoid all of that and just be thankful that we don't have to. Anne Marie, he is waiting to retire and go listen to the Grateful Dead. He's got had enough of this stuff.
You have to wonder why he's sticking it out. Even, I mean, he's got boatloads of cash, so it's not money, and
probably because he said he was going to do something and he's going to ride out his term. I got respect for people that do that. I'm just speculating. I don't even know.
Yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right.
Do we want to check out
Tom V? I appreciate that.
As usual, Anne Marie brings sunshine to a crappy trading day. She's extremely skilled at doing that. So real good stuff there. Is there anything? Let's wonder if there's anything else we should take a look at. Maybe SPY. We don't often do that. Is there something that you can think of?
We had a butterfly last time we were together super fast. I said, hey, listen, let's do the 540, 530, 520. And now we're all the way down here at 520. If we went to that Analyze tab, how much? Oh, I said we could say, hey, listen, you put it in at 70 cents. It's just about doubled, and it's at the bottom of the range, telling you that all the vol is spiked. I am suspecting that we might see new numbers down at 510. So we could easily put, ooh, look at all the folks sitting right there at 510. Yeah, we could do the 510, 505,
And
500.
I was going to say, how about that 500 and then 495? It looks like.
Yeah, sorry. 510, 500, 490, 490. Yeah, 490. So we can get it there. Beep, beep, beep. Hurry up, Anne Marie. Okay. Right, 48 cents. 48 cents for me.
Wow.
Now, if you do for April, 61 cents. Listen, we're falling like a stone. Again, it's a place to buy some protection.
Yeah.
I can
Okay.
get
And you know
61
what?
cents of protection.
I was going to say this is so much cheaper than buying VIX, which we also had a conversation about in
yeah.
terms of buying that for protection. That's never really worked for me,
No.
to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, the only way I only sell VIX. I don't buy it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And that's the other thing here. So I had seen that. I don't want to make an assumption here, but the piece of news that came out, oh my God, where is my Benzinga Pro window? Come on. Here it is. The piece of news that came out here while we were talking, Anne Marie, Trump, Vietnam's lamb. First of all, as soon as this, I don't know if you heard, but as soon as this happened, Vietnam immediately panicked and on an emergency basis sent someone from the government to come talk on a plane. Got him on a plane in the middle of the night, sent him over here to come talk to the administration. So that meeting took place here. Trump, Vietnam's lamb, told me that Vietnam wants to cut their tariffs down to zero if they are able to make an agreement with the U.S. That is one of the things that is popping this market here today. So,
yeah, we just have to get the little guys to play along with us. And then if we just have enough of the little guys playing
the big guys won't have a choice. That's exactly right. All right. Anne-Marie, really great stuff. I cannot tell you how appreciative I am that you are flexible here today. We are actually going to send everybody over to the Powell press conference. We're going to do that here now. You don't have to do anything. Anne-Marie, what about next week? Are we done for a little bit here now?
Yeah, we're gone. We're done for a little bit. I'll send you some notes.
Okay.
And if it's not the middle of the night and I don't look like a troll, we can get something.
That's never the case.
Hey, she's here.
That's never the case.
But she's here.
Okay, but so folks, Anne-Marie is going to do some traveling, so we won't have her on here. If we do, I'll bring you the good news, but we will see you when you get back. Anne-Marie, thanks so much for everything.
Take care. Bye-bye.
All right, take care. Folks, I'm going to send you over to Powell. We made it through a really crazy week. Again, please don't panic. This too shall pass. The sun will keep coming up. We're going to send you over to Powell. If you need a boost today, just be thankful you're not Jerome Powell and you don't have to be responsible for all of this.